and
Paul Williams.
Jerry Reed behind them. Yep.
Thank you,
Who was the bandit?
Well, that was Burt Reynolds.
Who was Smokey?
Smokey was Jackie Gleason as a Smokey. You know what the word Smokey means.
Sure.
Who does?
State trooper because of the hat.
Yes,
Smokey
of
the
course.
Bear.
Smokey. Smokey's got him.
Yeah.
Got it.
We got Smokey's in the air. Bear in the air would be a...
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn Sunday School, starring Penn Jillette. My name is Michael Ludo. Penn, Matt Donnelly, and I are broadcasting from the show Creator Studios in Las Vegas. Today we've got star of stage and screen and everything in between. We got the great Missi Pyle right here in studio with us. She has been in every current TV show you can name. Every single one. Here he is, preaching love, Mr. Penn Jillette.
I'm preaching love here, but first we got to talk about C.W. McCall.
Ugh, please.
You like C.W. McCall?
No one better.
Okay. C.W. McCall, because you don't know,
No, I don't know.
did a song called Convoy in the 70s, which is all about CB talk.
Breaker 19, this is the Rubber Duck.
Yep.
Yes, CB.
We got a great big convoy. We even had a bear in the air. Now, when I was riding in a car going tremendously fast, 120.
When was this?
This was in the 70s. I was in charge of the CB radio to try to not get arrested, which, by the way, didn't work.
Whose car were you in?
We're Christopher's.
Oh.
We're Christopher's fathers,
How's he doing?
actually.
How's he doing now?
He has retired from working for AT&T
Okay.
in some sort of capacity. And so I actually spoke on a CB. So Smokey and the Bandit, Burt Reynolds just died and worked with our director, Adam Rifkin. And his last movie was with Adam Rifkin called The Last Movie Star. And Adam Rifkin, his whole life, he's been in love with Burt Reynolds. But since working with him, is more in love with Burt Reynolds. So I was kind of, in a way, to my own personal honor of Burt Reynolds, I was watching Smokey and the Bandit. And Missy asked me who the bandit was, and I said, of course, Burt Reynolds. And Smokey is Jackie Gleason playing a state trooper out to get the bandit.
Yeah, I got to do that.
It's nothing but Burt Reynolds and Sally. Now, here's soming that happened to me.
Who is Sally Field in the movie?
She is she's the love interest, and her CB
Smokey and the Bandit. She's Aunt.
Oh, I see.
Her CB handle is the Frog.
Sure.
The Frog. So it's the Frog, the Bandit, and then I believe Cletus, who is Jerry.
It was Smokey and the Bandit and the Frog. That was the original title.
Yeah, exactly.
They were like,
But Sally Field, I never, for some reason, I never thought Sally Field was particularly sexy. Watching Smokey and the Bandit,
Unbelievable.
wicked, crazy sexy.
Unbelievable, yeah. She's great.
But if Smokey and the Bandit were coming out now, maybe you would be the Bandit.
I would be into being Smokey, the Bandit, or the Frog.
Yeah,
Probably
any one of
in a
those.
remake of
Or
those.
I would like, my favorite would be to be Cletus.
Cletus was the dog?
No, Cletus, the dog. The dog is Fred.
Oh, sorry. It's been at least 20 years since I saw this movie.
Cletus is Jerry Reed.
Oh, okay.
He's bounding down, loaded up and trucking. I would like to be the one that would do the music and be in the back. He's driving the big rig. And, of course, Bruce Springsteen, because we have to bring Matt into this.
Hello.
Where's his mention of Smokey and the Bandit, please? What song? What song does he mention Smokey and the Bandit? You supposed Springsteen fan. You're not allowed back in Jersey. Never going back to Jersey.
I need a lawyer.
Tell me. Tell me.
Your father.
Who? Where?
I'm under
Where?
duress.
Where?
I take the Fifth Amendment.
Where?
It's not the flood, which I just say I get that out of my head.
Okay. Even Burt Reynolds in his black Trans Am. They're all going down to the Cadillac Ranch.
Yeah, Cadillac Ranch is
Long
my guess.
and dark,
That's
shiny
my
and
final
black.
guess. My first and final guess is Cadillac Ranch.
Driving down the highway like a big old dinosaur.
Yeah.
And a little bit of disrespect for Burt Reynolds when he
feel
says
like-
even Burt Reynolds. He mentions James Dean in that murky 39, El Dorado bootleggers, the Hills of Caroline. And then he says even Burt Reynolds in his black Trans Am. I would say especially Burt Reynolds in his black Trans Am. And don't tell me it's too many syllables, because Springsteen has often been syllabically
he doesn't
cheating.
care.
That's
He
true.
doesn't- Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah, not as bad as Paul Simon.
I was
Paul, put a few extra lines in here. Simon.
I wouldn't say that it was a diss
Not a diss,
necessarily.
but not like your implants, Missy.
Oh, I'm wearing implants.
Not quite the
today.
right amount of
They
respect.
were on. What do you have these these very large implants just sitting on the
Thank you.
desk?
Thank
They're
you.
not for.
They're for
implant use.
me to fondle.
Oh, so I put them into
Now
my
they're for you to
shirt.
fondle.
They are literally. If I were to actually have these
That'd be wonderful.
on my body, the skin would be so. I mean, they're so big.
We could see through you, yeah.
Yes, you could just see through me.
Yeah, we'd be able to see the little jiggle on the
And what
inside.
it's silicone.
I'm
Yeah, those
I'm
are.
thrilled, by the way, at commitment. Missy walked in right away, just fucking around, grabbed the implants and put them right inside her shirt. But she has kept them on.
Yes,
through-
I took them
through
out
this.
for a quick trip to the bathroom, but then I put them back in because it feels right. And also,
And your hands look really, because you have a pretty good size hands.
I am a large person.
So you don't want, see, this is the thing. I think you want, when you're doing the hand bra,
Yes.
as you were just doing,
Yes.
I think you want them to be the hands and the breast to be commiserate.
Well, I've always been a person who's like, I'll never do that. And I just as I've like gotten a little older, I'm like, that would be fun. Just do something crazy. My boyfriend's like, no, you have great boobs, which I do have really good boobs.
Sure, no doubt
for
about it.
someone in my stage of life.
Profession.
They're pretty good. But I was just like, it'd be kind of fun to just be that.
Have you worked?
person.
Have you worked topless professionally?
I played the.
Because
I
I'll
played
tell
the
you,
tit in. I played a tit
the tit.
in.
I did one movie where I played a trans gender person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing that's on Mr. Skin is like me coming out of the tub. And at the time I was training for a marathon, so I was really skinny. It's like
So
the
you
only
happy
thing
about
that's on
that?
there.
That you the only
I
thing.
don't know. It just wasn't. It wasn't.
Well, I mean, you're not happy about it in terms of from a journalistic
Oh, I
standpoint.
don't care. I mean, I've never done stuff like that. I've always been a comedian, so
I do believe.
I'm always sort of like.
But see, I have
fun.
always been comedian, magician, and I have been naked on
A lot?
stage, television, and film.
Yes. When were you naked on?
I'll tell you.
Let's talk. I want to hear all three.
If you look at a list
Mm-hmm.
of breakthroughs in nudity in Las Vegas,
Okay.
first topless performer
Mm-hmm.
in a major hotel in Las Vegas was Carol Doda.
Okay.
Was one of the first to get implants. She had a theater called the Condor in San Francisco. Okay. And then the first full frontal nude on stage in Vegas was Marilyn Chambers. Remember the Ivory Snow girl? She was on the cover of Ivory Snow,
yeah.
and then she became a porn actor. And the first full frontal male nude is tied for two people simultaneously, which was Penn and Teller. And you look at that
Where did
and
you
go,
do that? Was it a live show?
it was a live show.
Was it a Penn and Teller show?
Yes, it was. We did a trick.
Did you have because I was at the show last night. Were there children? Were there any
What we
children in the
what we
audience?
were doing was entirely illegal, and we were told by the police that we're not going to arrest you until there's a complaint, but then we will. And I said, I just think it's so funny that those who've been busted for being naked on stage would be Jim Morrison, Iggy Pop, Penn and Teller.
I like it.
So you see that list and go on. So what we did was we had a gag where it's a joke I've always wanted to do, and we finally did it, and it was the end of our show. I said, we're going to do a bit that's pure magic, and magicians, people often think you have things up your sleeves. So we want to make sure there's nothing up our sleeves. So we took our shirts off. And then we said, but you could hide something, I suppose, in your shoes. We took our shoes off. Or maybe in your pants. You could do that. We took our pants off. We were standing there in boxer shorts and T-shirts. And then we would get two people up from the audience. And this took us a long time to figure out who. Because we were going to take all our clothes off with a person to examine us.
Right.
And the line was check under little Houdini. and we would lift up our balls, and they would check everything, make sure nothing was hidden on us.
This is
before we
just
did the
someone
magic
from
trick.
the audience.
Two
You had to
people.
plant people, though.
No.
This is just random people.
Right. And we
They didn't sign any kind of disclosure.
no, we did this thing. It was really something we had to learn.
Mm-hmm.
We thought that getting a man and a woman up would be the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
and we found if we got a woman up who was between 25 and 40, 50, that the reaction we got from them was just they'd sometimes reach down and grab our cock and balls and be no surprise at all, just a smile, just like, oh, that's nice. And
Wait, when was this?
this was in the 90s.
Okay, sure. Okay, that makes sense.
And we didn't get any sort of reaction. So because a woman who is sexually active and doesn't mind anybody knowing that is not going to go, oh dear. So we found that the best reaction we go, and we also didn't want to go below 25 because it's just
Right, it gets a
so
little creepy, yeah.
we didn't even consider that. But what we found was a man about 20 or 21, you get reactions like you would not believe when you take off your boxer shorts and say, check under here. And we did a show at Universal Studios for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And the audience, it may be the bravest thing I've ever seen a person do. We had an audience that had there was extra security in because there was a lot of gangbangers in. It was a 1 a.m. show, Universal Studios, Southern California, right around Halloween. And they were a rough crowd. And Teller went into the audience to pick the people. He picked them, not me. And he picked a hardcore gangbanger, brought him up on stage, and then I took off my pants for him. And this guy was posing and doing all this stuff and, really a lot of attitude. The attitude drained out of him. He was just, no, there's nothing hidden.
Did he touch it?
He didn't touch us.
Okay, he just was like,
shot.
I can't.
And then we would get, no, he was just
traumatized.
He was paralyzed.
He shot Penn's penis.
And
Just took out a
then-
gun and shot his penis.
And then the other person you would get a woman over 60.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would get a nice reaction from her. Whatever the reaction was would be terrific. If she smiled and was happy, if she was scandalized, it was great. And then we would put on like basketball T-shirts that came down just below our cocks. And then we would produce, we produced about 15 liters of blood, which we
Wait, what?
covered over ourselves. So out barehanded, after being examined, we
Up until this point, Missy had no anticipation of a magic trick whatsoever. She just thought you guys ended your show by getting naked in front of
Getting
people,
naked and having
checking
people
you out.
sit-
Good night, everybody.
and then we would produce
Plenty
like
of shows do
You'd
that.
produce. Wait, what does that mean?
Every other stripper show does
Made-
just that,
Produce
Matt.
blood.
made to appear.
Oh,
magically.
It just magically.
So we would
appeared.
hold our hands up and just blood would flow out of us, out of our hands. Stigmata. At the end,
And you could do this stigmata every day.
yeah, but we weren't, it wasn't
had to be
real.
naked.
It wasn't
It wasn't real.
real blood. No.
You allowed to say that?
15 liters of blood.
Well, what
would
was
be
it if it
too
wasn't
much.
real blood?
Well, it was a different formula for each thing, different tricks.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's going to go in your eyes, you can't use shampoo.
Okay.
If it's going to go on other parts of your body, you want some shampoo in there to give it detergent so you can clean it
Sure,
off.
yeah.
But while doing this trick every night, Teller and I were permanently dyed slightly pink, and we were constantly breaking out in rashes all over, very attractive.
So you would get naked with a huge rash on your
Yeah.
body.
Yeah, and then we would be covered.
You want him to tell it slower, Missy?
Yes. Can we turn the lights out?
We'd be wearing these like white oversized T-shirts with the sleeves cut out that were just dresses, really, that came just below our
White oversized T-shirts with the what's cut out.
with the arms cut out,
Okay.
big wide open arms.
Okay.
So there was doing nothing hidden, and the audience members had to examine those, and then it was Teller was it was the end of Greek tragedy where you tear the protagonist apart. Right, that was the end of our show. So we wanted to be completely, for the cathartic experience, completely destroyed and covered with blood. So our hair was covered with blood, our face covered with blood, and then these white outfits, all red and dripping. And the image from Carrie is what it really was, the image from Carrie. And then because we always sign autographs after the show, we would run out after the show and stand there, dripping
with blood,
and nearly naked.
Still mostly just
And
covering
then-
the edge of the balls.
Just,
and the tip.
that tip
Just covered by the shirt.
Tip went lower than the balls, just in my particular case.
Oh, right, of course.
Jealous.
Just so you know. And
I don't know. My silicone.
Yeah, I know.
And
Great.
for autographs, it became very easy because people would hold out their programs, and I would slap the blood on my hand and give them a full handprint on, which incidentally are going for a lot on eBay.
Sure.
But people would come up and hug and grab and get covered with blood. And Bally's, we were playing the Celebrity Room at Bally's, which is where Sinatra would be played the next week, which is really funny. And Bally's, because we sold out and did well, they accepted it. But other people, you book them and you complain, well, they trashed the bar, or there were hookers up in their rooms, or there's cocaine. Penn and Teller, you complained that there was red dye and glucose all over everything, because the posters of Liza Minnelli would be covered with blood-stained hands. The rugs had blood on them. So they had these huge cleaning. So it actually cost more to have Penn and Teller in there, not because of the liquor backstage,
Right.
because there was just blood and everything.
I don't know if Sinatra was playing there, whether they didn't have to get blood out of carpets after.
Yeah, let's
After
be
he played.
honest. It's a different kind.
I think they probably were thankful, oh, this one has shampoo in it. They're like, this is
It
nice.
started the cleaning process for you.
And I've told this before, but probably the sexiest thing in my life was we were doing the trick, bleeding as we called it, the close of our show in Atlantic City.
Where did you get that name?
In Atlantic City. And this woman who was busty like you are now,
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's
and-
all real.
and looked like a someone who was a show business professional. She came up and waited till everybody was out of there getting their autographs. She was standing there in a white mini dress with fairly clearly nothing under it. And she walked up to me
Fairly
and said,
clearly.
well, it was going to be clearer in a moment.
Oh, okay.
It was only fairly clearly now.
Okay.
She walked up to me and said, here's what I want for my souvenir. And she walked up to me very carefully and got toward me and then pulled me into a hug and then backed away. And she had on this dress, which was covered with blood and had now become translucent over her breasts. She then had, because of our height difference, superimposed on her dress an outline of my body and my penis.
Wait, that all
printed over.
happened just because she went up. She just went next to you.
No, if you go up to someone who is wearing a T-shirt drenched in blood,
And you body slam them gently.
yeah, and you push, it's just the
Right.
Gutenberg press.
Oh, the Gutenberg
If
press.
Gutenberg had
Sorry.
not invented the press, we would get the
Okay,
idea right
got
now.
it, got
It's essentially just movable type,
Sure.
nothing more.
Sure.
And she just went boom, and then she backed away, looked down, and said, "Perfect," and then walked away very carefully. So somewhere there's that dress with my outline.
Oh, I bought it on eBay.
Oh, you did?
I haven't.
He's wearing it now.
Please
Show
put
us,
it
man.
on.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Quick break.
So one of the things that I thought about as I was anticipating you coming on our show
Yes,
here
yes.
was that I should probably do the whole interview in the character of
Herbert? Okay.
and that I should be obsessed with Missi Pyle. Then I realized, first of all, I have no experience with improvisation and character. And
Okay.
I'm not good at it. Second, I'm not a particularly good actor. And third, I don't remember anything about you. And I'm not fat anymore.
You don't remember anything about me at all?
I mean, when I was writing the script,
Yes.
I had all these details of all your movies and
Right.
where you grew up. I had to learn it all because I'd found it was easier to write the script if I just learned it and then put it in instead of waiting for the blanks and going and finding it out.
Right.
So I was very, very knowledgeable on Missi
Right.
Pyle, and not because of my lack of obsession with you, but because of my having a mind like a chicken some of that has drifted away over the years.
That's okay.
Along with the fat. Maybe I was
Penn,
holding my
this
Missi.
is the third time you've told her this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
No, I'm joking. That he has the mind of a chicken, so he's been telling you the same thing over and over again.
So, yes.
What is a chicken's memory like?
Well,
For those of us who don't know offhand.
this
2
is.
days, like do you remember
I've been
30
reading.
minutes?
I've been reading lately some Peter Singer about animal suffering, and they certainly have the capacity to suffer, although not the capacity to read the Constitution. Somewhere between those
Somewhere
two.
between capacity to suffer and intake of,
We are not sure whether oysters have the capacity to suffer,
right?
and we are not sure whether the President of the United States can read the Constitution.
So,
There's a wide range.
betwixt-
There's a
Wide range. We also don't know if the President of the United States has the capacity to suffer.
That's true.
I've seen no evidence of that.
None.
But chickens can.
Yeah.
I would think so. I would think most animals can suffer, certainly.
We think so. Well, that is the question for ethical vegans. The question is not can animals think. The question is can animals suffer.
Of course
just
they can
discovered a,
suffer. I mean, my dog has a leg injury. She's got a hip injury.
thought you were
move
gonna-
her leg over, and she goes, oh,
I thought you were going to tune a ukulele for a second when you said my dog.
my dog can suffer.
Yeah, but that's
My
I guess.
own one.
Well, actually, my dog can suffer. I've seen her whine would be tuning a mandolin, I believe. Okay, if you could do all the.
I have never tuned a mandolin.
Aren't there 8 strings on a mandolin?
I believe so. That's a good question.
I'll
I've never
check
played
the
a
internet.
mandolin. I only play the guitar. And
Well, it's like a 12-string guitar, though, right? It has double.
I've heard your music on the guitar.
I've heard
I
your
like
music
it.
on
I
the
like it.
guitar.
I like it.
Thank you.
I like your music on the guitar.
I appreciate
and,
that.
you were.
I remember that.
I do remember
You
that.
remember anything else?
No, but I remember
Just the
the stuff
guitar.
since the movie.
Oh, okay.
Because I saw you, my wife and I watched the television show Notorious, and you show up as the rival newscaster.
I did.
And we were all at Twitter.
I know you did. You both sent me. She sent a message. You sent a message. I thought it was funny because I didn't think it was a particularly good show, and
No,
I
it
just did
wasn't.
one episode, and it was a while ago. But you seemed really interested.
But what
in it.
was interesting in that show, which I thought was, if you wanted to be, deconstructionist and postmodern about this whole
Sure.
thing, they did a really interesting thing in the show, which is they eliminated all suspense, because two characters would be having a discussion, and they would say, "Well, he was sleeping with his sister, and that's possibly what the baby is possible, a brother
I'm
and
not
sister."
100% sure that was the episode.
That was one. No, you're in, but it's one of the episodes.
Oh,
It was
really?
incest in a baby.
Oh, okay.
And they say it.
3 men and an
They say it.
incest baby.
They say it in hushed tones, right? And you really believe, because you've been trained on drama,
Right.
that keeping this secret is going to be a huge part of the next show. And the very next person that walks in the room, they go, the baby is because is a child of incest. And they go, oh, and they see it on TV. And you go, oh, that plot line's gone because there's no hidden information ever. They say, I killed her. And then he says it to everybody.
Right. So you're saying you enjoyed that?
Well, I thought it was so trippy to say in the writer's room, they just said, wait a minute, we're going to do everything. We're going to do incest, murder, blackmail. We're going to do it all in the first 2 shows. So we don't need to hold anything back. Everybody will tell everybody everything on television.
I guess. I mean, they're notorious for doing that.
But you didn't.
Sorry.
Did you read the script or just bullshit?
You know what?
My line, bullshit.
Yes.
bullshit.
I mean,
My
obviously,
line.
that is a lot of how it goes, especially, if you have kids and your life is little and you're worried caring for your new implants. You don't have a lot of time to read. But I did read it, and I remember thinking that it wasn't. I wasn't 100%. I remember I had to read it a few times because I was like, what are they doing here?
Yeah, the gag was that this is a one of those supposed news shows that actually does entertainment, and that there was a rival show
Yes.
that was the person was even less a responsible journalist
And that was
and
me.
more sensationalist. That was you.
Thank you.
And you were coming on saying, "I will have this murderer on, and
Yes.
I will make them more famous."
Right.
But and that was you. You were the sleazier than the sleazy.
I have to say, like, I am drawn to playing, and I've done it a few times, like sleazy journalists. I played a Nancy. I did it in Gone Girl, this Fincher movie. I played a Nancy Grace kind of character.
I was so excited.
It was so.
Nancy Grace is what I was trying to think of, and I
Yes.
couldn't, so I was walking around it. Thank you.
That's okay. And then I did one for another TV show that Simon somebody.
What was the first one? Do you think like that nailed the part for
well,
you?
the first time I did it on the Sarah Silverman program. I played like a Scarlet Lacey character, and I just love them. I love those characters. I so want to be someone like that who believes that, who lives that way.
Muckraking.
Yes, but I can't because I'm
A good person.
riddled with empathy.
Smarter than a chicken?
Educated,
Barely.
yeah.
But I do really. I just love the ability for them. They just take themselves so seriously. And I interviewed Nancy Grace, and it was so fun to talk to Missy. I grew up because I played her, and basically in Gone Girl.
Yeah.
I grew up on a dirt road. It was, and she told me everything about that we do not ever we don't talk about the M word in my house with my children. I mean, just everything about her she was so intense
And
and
earnest.
believed it and earnest and was that person.
Yeah.
Like you just wait for the facade to come off, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
It must sometime. but I don't know.
That clarity of purpose is so seductive. A person that lives without doubt is the power of that is phenomenal.
I love this show because I come from a very religious family, and they live without any kind of doubt, and it's very hard for me, because I'm, basically an atheist, and it's funny because I wish to have that.
But you
How
don't.
much more fun would it be, huh?
You don't
If
want it.
Santa
Buy
Claus, if
it.
Santa Claus existed, man, things would be
it's
good.
just that belief to believe and just be like, yeah, yeah.
In letters to a young skeptic, letters to a young whatever.
Poet?
It's a takeoff on that. It's
okay.
Christopher Hitchens wrote a beautiful essay on atheists who say they wish they were religious. And he has this wonderful line where he says, it's a little like wishing you were living in North Korea. If you think about it a little bit
guess.
more. Yeah. But I was thinking on the way over,
It's Letters to a Young Contrarian
Contrarian.
by
that's it.
Christopher Hitchens. And mandolin has 8 strings tuned to 4 notes.
Right, because it's on octave.
It's like a 12-string guitar.
Oh, that's nice.
it's
It's
an
a
octave.
I'm
12-string
gonna learn
guitar,
the man.
yeah.
You know what? The next time I see you, I'm
You'll
gonna
have
sing you
played
a
the
song
mandolin.
on the mandolin. I'm gonna get myself a mandolin.
Yeah, it's a lot of
So pretty.
lot of wrist action. A lot of
Never mind.
you don't use the
I'm
wrist.
just gonna.
much.
I'm just gonna keep playing. I'm gonna get better on my guitar. Play your song.
It's
It's an 8-string
Maybe I'll try. I'm
ukulele.
gonna try it.
trying to do. It is very tempting. I was thinking about this on the way over. It's very tempting, especially with the cult of directors in movies and the cult of writers in television, to think that actors are meat puppets. As Alfred Hitchcock said, I did not say actors were cattle. I said they should be treated as cattle. That was his separation. And I often, when watching a show, will think about different actors just being plugged in. Like, oh, that could be Tom Cruise, or that could be someone else. We don't care.
Right.
This is the show. And one of the things that Director's Cut taught me is that I became, when you're a child, you think the actors are everything. You're not aware of the people behind the scenes. And then as I got older, I thought, well, they're less important. It is incredible how much an actor decides everything about a movie. Director's Cut became an entirely different movie when you were on board. Entirely different. And not just the script, which we had to write around you because that's the point of it, because you're playing
Right,
yourself. But also just seeing what your skills were, and because you had so varied skills and so much just pure muscle of skill, separate from inspiration, separate from, your heart, just raw skill. Like, you can juggle 5 clubs, just that
Right.
kind of stuff. And knowing you could do that and hearing the scenes, it was just so different what you get out of that. The fact that we were never expecting to be able to get the kind of range we could. And you took a very, very crazy movie and made it crazier.
Thank you.
And it was amazing, It was also, and I've told this story a zillion times, it's important to say, we had a great deal of trouble finding someone to play that character. And we had cast 2 people before you, and then I watched Adam go through such torture. He was calling me up going, oh, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a problem. We're looking over the screen. I talked to her about this. And I said, Adam, you can't go into a movie feeling like this. Halfway through the movie, you should be feeling like this. You should be hating everybody and saying they're all letting you down and the movie's not going to be able to be done. That we're expecting. But I don't think we can start the first day like that. And the great thing was, it was Pete Golden, Adam Rifkin, and me were the producers.
Right.
And every time I tried to be at the meetings with people, but sometimes I couldn't because I live in the Mojave. Adam would go to these meetings, and then he would call up, and there would be video and discussion and check out this and look over this, and she said this, and back and forth forever. And it was just the greatest call I've ever gotten. I get a call from Adam, and he said, I cast Missi Pyle. And gave me absolutely no room to say, check her out a little more, think about it a little more, see how it would work. What do you think of this? He just sent me the picture of you 2 together and said, she's who we're doing it with. And he had, to tie this in, no doubt. It was just absolutely. And then he started the movie with that wonderful optimism. This would be the greatest thing in the world. And it wasn't really until 2/3 of the way through that he hated everybody and thought it was going to be. Yeah, which is pretty good, don't you think?
What are you doing? Yeah, that's a long time. I mean, you're practically done by that
And by the
point.
way, the movie we're talking about is on Amazon Prime now.
That's exciting.
Director's cut.
When did that happen? Like a month ago?
No, really recently, like this week.
This is proof that no matter how high a level you get to, actors are the last to find out about anything.
I will say that I am the highest level of actor that there is.
And you are the star of the movie.
Thank you.
You are the star of the movie.
I also
They should tell you if it's on
You
Amazon.
should know.
I also need to
I didn't
say
know that it is because somebody's tweeted it.
we had like
Was that someone from the production?
Yeah, that was Rifkin.
Oh, okay.
we had 5,000 donors.
Oh
And
my
the
gosh.
rule was they were going to get their DVDs before it came out. And Emily has sent out 3,000 of them. And I watch her every day send out hundreds of these packages. So if you have not gotten your DVD before it's on Amazon, I'm sincerely sorry. We've done our best, but the deals have to happen, and the sending out has to happen, and the mail has to happen. And getting that all together is a little like D-Day.
Sending 5,000, like one person sending 5,000
Yeah.
DVDs
It's a hard thing.
is a lot.
It's insane.
And also, if Emily does not have your correct address, make Penn bad at gmail.com. Give her the right address, and she'll send you the motherfucking video, okay?
Just relax, everybody. Or
I
go watch it
can't-
on Amazon.
I can't even imagine. We run our little.
Well, the DVDs have a lot of extra stuff on them.
I run my little Patreon accounts, and those are in the hundreds, and the amount of like incorrect address and little small things that go wrong. I can't imagine with 5,000 donors how often these little dumb things must go wrong.
You have 4,000 come back every week.
Emily has been put, it's hard to find a comparison. McCain, right after he left Vietnam, I would say that's a level of stress she's under, except she would pray to never be able to put her hands over her head again.
Yeah, she'd trade.
You'd trade that for all the angst. You have to go to other languages, the agita, the thesaurus. You have to go to every language. Never mind chicken suffering. 11 billion farm animals put to death a year in this country is nothing, compared to the pain of these next
Of
300
mailing all
going
these
on.
CDs.
But they're
the
all
chickens won't remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But this is
it's over very quickly.
this is it is on Amazon.
Yeah.
And Amazon Prime. And the great thing about it is, and Missy, I think you can back me,
Yeah,
we made an insane movie.
it's really
You've been
very, very
in
strange.
a lot of insane movies.
I've
And
been
this,
in a few insane movies.
and
This
this
is definitely the most insane.
way over the top. And the amazing thing about it is some people are liking it. and that
I think more than
kills
some
me.
people
No,
like
no,
it.
but I mean, yeah.
I think a lot of people
I
really
get a
like
lot
it.
of stuff that says they really like it, and they also understand it. And this was, a fever dream of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And
Let's be clear. So you, I just sound like Obama for a second. Let's be clear. You've talked about this without her here on this show, saying that, like, of course you knew you were making this little indie darling, kind of bizarre, high concept thing that maybe not everyone could wrap their head around, but secretly you hoped that it would hit mainstream
Avatar.
anyway. Yeah.
Avatar.
Everyone hopes.
Titanic.
Every movie that this is the thing too about an actor. You kind of sit because you have to be realistic and you have to be whatever, but you kind of in your brain you go like, this could be the one.
Yeah.
This could be the one that people see.
Well,
This is our
They see
Popeye.
me. Yes.
it's the problem with playing the lottery for a living, which is what you do in show business.
Yes.
I have a friend who's a professor of statistics and mathematics in D.C., and
we all do.
he was hanging out. He was hanging out with a mutual friend of ours. I guess it was not a friend of his at that time, but was introducing them. We were talking in L.A., and the friend is an actor and a successful actor, and was exhibiting a little bit of neurosis over the auditions he'd been in and that he hadn't had a part. And the mathematician was a little bit like, after we left, man, I mean, shouldn't he be able to deal with that a little bit better? He seems like he's having such a hard time, and that's his job. And I said to him, how many times have you been rejected for something important in your life, in your career, in your life so far? And he said, well, I got into the school I wanted to get into. I got into the graduate program I wanted to get into. I got the job I applied for, and I got tenure. And what else would be important? The woman I asked to marry me said, yeah. Well, I guess never. And I said, the man you just had dinner with gets rejected a minimum of 3 times a week for something he's worked on.
Right.
A minimum. That's the minimum.
Yeah.
And that's successful, because if you're less successful, you get rejected less because you have less chance. I said, I think right now you need to write him an email apologizing because I believe you could not handle 1 week of his life.
Well, it is a really interesting thing that you have to do. You have to, create this story in your head that you have to be both humble, so you're not like, you can't be bragging in your own head, but you have to believe you're good enough. You have to, or you can't be there. But you also have to be humble enough to be like, oh, I'm just a normal person. But you have to go out there and get rejected over and over and over. And I've probably been rejected 5,000 times. I mean, I auditioned when I first started 20 times a week when I was in New York.
And that's because you were successful.
That's because I was
some
getting a ton of
people
auditions.
don't get to even audition.
Yeah.
But you have to put in your brain, you have to believe something. I remember I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes a few years ago, and I had done 35 movies at that point, and I was looking at someone's Rotten Tomatoes score, and I was like, oh, let's look at mine. And I didn't even have a page on Rotten Tomatoes. And I was like, what the fuck? I've done 30 movies. And it was such a
Can't anyone
reality.
just tell me I stink? Can't at least
I was
be
like,
told
oh
I'm
my
terrible?
God. I don't even have a page. And it made me laugh because I thought, I believe this line. You have this line of hope you have to get through. You have to keep going through because you rejected all
But
the time.
it's also worse rejection, because if you're being rejected...
I have one now, guys.
Oh, okay, yes,
There
of
is
course.
a page now.
And go on it now and rate her high.
Adding more
Keep adding more positive stuff. It's worse because if you're going in to get a job, say you're getting a job as a professor of biology, right? Every job interview you go to, you're going in for the same thing that you haven't invested more. But with an actor, every single fucking audition, you have to say, okay, now I'd be really excited to be a farmer whose husband has been killed, and I am trying to relate to how I'm going to discover the murderer while having supernatural powers of being able to run really fast. And I have to get there, and these lines, and I'll memorize them, and I'll invest in it, and I'll get it all set, and you go in, and then you go, okay, now I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
and I'm working in South America, and I'm trying to save the life of a. Okay, no, okay,
Right.
okay. Now I'm a dentist.
Well, and
No.
you have to go buy something that suggests that outfit, but isn't that outfit
Right.
directly. You can't buy overalls, but you do want some jeans.
Right.
And now I've got to go play this doctor in South America, so I kind of want khaki pants. And I need a lot of pockets on the shirt, but
Yeah.
you can't be a doctor's shirt.
Complicated.
And then you're completely invested, and then it goes away. Sorry, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. Or you do a movie, or you do something, and then all of a sudden, and you have this intense experience with people, and you fall in love with, people,
Yeah, sure.
and they're, you become friends, and then it's just poof. It's just gypsy. It's
Everybody
just
goes
such
away.
a gypsy life.
That's one of the things I laugh about in our job as jugglers and magicians. We go work somewhere and we are assigned a best friend for however long you're at this gig.
Yeah.
This is the guy I'm going to have every meal with for the next 8 weeks. And then we're not going to speak for 3 years. And then we'll have another week where we have every meal together.
And it'll be in Singapore.
Yeah, and it'll be in Singapore. So there's no one else to
So
talk to.
weird.
It's really funny and odd. Yeah.
I'm going to read this thing.
Yeah,
right
read
now,
that.
And we're done. If you like this show, and who doesn't, who's listening, you need to check out CarCast, the longest-running automotive podcast. Boy, that's the coldest day in Montana on a Wednesday, isn't it? CarCast is a twice-weekly automotive show hosted by...
That's our boss.
Guess who it's hosted by? Adam Carolla.
Adam Carolla.
Wrestling superstar Bill Goldberg and Matt the Moderator DeAndrea. It's the only show of its
a
kind
moderator.
that explores all aspects of the automotive space, from the performance aftermarket to new car buying and the future of the automotive industry. The guys answer your questions, offer advice, and feature guests from the automotive industry and celebrity car enthusiasts. I love the word enthusiast. I love that word. Listen to CarCast with Goldberg and Moderator Matt DeAndrea. I had to go back up and look at the pronunciation.
Absolutely.
Every Wednesday, and Adam Carolla with Moderator every Friday on, well, they say Podcast One, I say Castillon, or iTunes podcast. So, Missi Pyle,
Podcastone.
what are you working on now?
I'm working on taking a selfie of myself with my boobs.
They're good. They're really good, aren't they?
You want me to take the photo?
Kind of. I just want to see. They're so big. Jesus.
Nice, really nice.
That's
Well, you're
way
also
too
taking them
big.
from a low level. It's like
Way too big.
yes, like you're standing in front of the Rockies.
The Rockies are my chest right now.
The Rockies are my chest. The autobiography from Missi Pyle.
Well, I spend most of my life without boobs, then just boom.
So, what are you working on now besides your breasts?
I just did a movie for Netflix called Walk Ride Rodeo, which is about
That's why you got the hat.
that. I got I get this out of Target. This is I'm at that level of like somewhat recognizability that it's just like, hey, what? Oh, so if I wear this little hat, I just kind of.
Everyone leaves you alone.
And how
breeze
was this?
through.
How was this movie? Is it a good movie?
It's a good movie. It's about a girl named Amber Lee Snyder who was a barrel racer in the rodeo, and it's a true story. And she gets paralyzed in a car accident. And she gets back on the horse, so to speak, with a saddle and straps her legs in, and now she's a pro barrel racer.
So you had to.
I played her mother.
Oh, your mother. So you
I
didn't
was
have
her
to play
mommy.
not having use of your legs.
I did not.
Did you have to ride a horse?
I did ride a horse a lot.
You know how
and
to
I
ride a
really
horse?
enjoyed it. I thought I was better at it than I really am, but I can get. I'm comfortable on a horse.
Now, was there? What was the ratio of running to kissing,
There was no kissing for me in that movie.
and no running either?
I ran once.
Okay.
There's a lot of horseback riding.
Because was that bad? That was okay, right?
I love riding on a horse. It's great. We were shot in New Mexico. It was really nice.
In New Mexico?
Santa Fe, New Mexico. Very pretty.
How many?
Very pretty town.
How many weeks were you there?
I was there
by
for
town, I mean
4
state.
weeks. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're so.
I got your back.
Thank
4
you.
weeks, and you.
And I have a show on YouTube that's coming back for a second season called Impulse, which is about a girl who can teleport.
Oh, good.
Again, I play her mother.
Oh, okay.
That's why I need these guys.
Yeah.
I just want to do. I love doing. I mean,
Those are not mother jugs.
These are
By
not
the
mother
way,
jugs.
70s movie, Mother Jugs and Speed.
for
Remember
anyone,
Mother Jugs and Speed?
Oh, I can't stop talking about it.
That
Mother
was
Jugs in
Mother,
Speed?
no,
Oh, the
Mother,
movie Speed?
Mother, comma, Jugs, comma, and Speed. It was a 3-person comedy that starred Bill Cosby, Raquel Welch, and one other person. And the gag on it was Jugs was not Raquel Welch. Jugs was Bill Cosby. Get it?
Twist.
They all had nicknames.
Oh
Love
man.
it.
I believe Raquel Welch was Speed. So Mother, Jugs, and Speed.
Oh, it's all
That's
confusing.
the second biggest.
Which is essentially what I pack when I go on the road.
I feel like that's what this group.
Mother,
this
Jugs,
group-
and Speed.
That's the second biggest twist Bill Cosby's ever thrown our way.
Nice.
So you
I do those too. I do that show. I do that movie. I do that. What else? What else do you want to know?
how much are you auditioning now? You don't have to audition anymore, do you?
I don't audition very much anymore. I mean, like I was offered the Netflix movie, which is nice. I mean, it's nice to be offered.
Do you like playing
things.
moms?
I find now that I adopted Zoe right after our movie. So she's 3. She'll be 3 tomorrow.
Wow.
Which is exciting. So having a kid now, like being a mother, is makes it a totally different ballgame because I have experience and I can relate to. I've been mothers before that, but I was just kind of.
You were faking it.
acting. I was faking it.
No.
Not that I'm fake. And I like it though. I like it. I mean, I do kind of want to do something next that's a little more just me.
No, I'm really, because I've never been an actor and never aspired to be an actor and ended up in acting roles, I am always in awe of being on the set. I mean, I with people who can really act, because it is, besides all the heart and all that stuff, it's also all these skills that I never bothered having. So I've told this story a zillion times of reading a scene with Robert De Niro. And we got to the scene where he's yelling at me and upset with me. And I was so uncomfortable because there were no signals that he was, it wasn't like Jack Black giving a little wink and this is a funny character I'm doing. It was like he was mad at me.
Yeah.
And it just freaks me out. And when I did Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Johnny Depp came to Vegas. We could hang out a little bit beforehand. And he was Hunter Thompson at that time. So his head was shaved back and he had a cigarette holder. And he was talking like Hunter Thompson. And I mean all the time.
Right.
This was how I met Johnny Depp. And I spent hours with him, but never as anybody but Hunter Thompson. And a mutual friend, Lawrence Krauss, who's good friends with Johnny Depp, says that Johnny is so shy that you can only really have conversations with him when he's in character. And then he kind of acts like that. Now, do you do that stuff, or are you one of those, people that can turn it on
Like
and
a
off?
method.
How about
I'm
you?
a little bit more of a turn it on, turn it off person. I mean, I do. It's just if you're sitting in like the last 2 jobs I've done have been really dramatic, and for whatever reason in the last 3 years I've gone from a lot of comedy to a lot of drama. And I don't like to sit in it for too long. And I also find if you sit in it for too long, I think being Hunter S. Thompson, I mean, that's a little bit of I haven't played somebody. I mean, I did play a real character just then, but I think it's nice to jump out of it for a minute and just kind of go back into, like, I remember doing this scene where my daughter becomes paralyzed, and so I'm in this hospital running around. And finally, after driving 12 hours, we get there, and I find out from the doctor she's paralyzed, and I just take me to a room. And then we did this scene. It was very dramatic and very, a lot
this
of
like
emotion.
crying and
a lot of crying,
Oh,
big
my
tears.
goodness.
And then I walked into a room off the side, and my daughter was there that day, and they were, like, doing her makeup. And then I just walked in and I was like, yay, hi. It was just fun, to walk away from it and just leave it and then be able to kind of come. I can do that sometimes. So that's, to me, I think I actually like doing it that way.
Well, that's
Just
miraculous.
jumping into it.
Either way, whether you
Right.
turn it on and off or you're in it all the time, it's just miraculous to see. I mean, even
Such
sitting
a
around
weird thing to do is like,
doing readings with people,
Right.
and all of a sudden they, because I never leave myself even for a moment.
well, you know what I would think would be difficult for what you do, and I was thinking about that watching your show last night because you've done it for I have so many questions. I'm sure you've talked about it a lot, but like, you have to be there every night at that time. Like
I love that. I love that.
you are absolutely must be there.
I've done a trifecta.
Mm-hmm.
I did a show the day my mom died, the day my dad died, the day my sister died, and I'm so grateful for that. It is amazing. And the reason, and I've said this many times, the reason we have the expression "the show must go on"
Right.
is because of all the things in the world. The show never needs to go on. It never means anything. And that's why you have to have that ethic, because if you actually accept the fact that what you're doing is unimportant, you'd never show up for any show, right? If I didn't believe the show must go on, every single night there's something more important to do. Oh, in the news, people in a flood, I should be helped. I'm going to do a fucking show.
Right.
You know, after 9/11, why would I do a fucking show? There's always a reason to not do a show. So you have to believe the show must go on.
Right.
And I love the fact that the worst times of my life, I've had to walk out on stage and, you know, be the Penn that's on stage there. That is so, it's an automatic mindful thing, because automatically it shows you that there are many different things happening in your mind. The fact that you can go out and do that teaches you so much about the impermanence of thought and emotion. It's a great feeling. And it's also interesting when you're doing TV, someone will always, who does a live show, like the news show, my friend Lawrence O'Donnell, LOD, who does Final Word on MSNBC. It's so fascinating. He does his show at 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock every day does the show. And he says whenever they do a tape show, because they want to have one in the bank to do a Friday, he says, everybody says, we're going to start right at 6, do the full show live to tape, exactly like we do it live. And he said every single time, when it's time to start at 6, they go, well, there's one more thing we want to adjust in this mic. Let's get this light a little better. And he said, you can never fake it. You absolutely can't fake it. Whereas when it's at 10 o'clock for real going out live, no matter
nothing
what's
you can
going
do.
wrong,
Yeah.
they fix it.
You have to be there.
And I've tried so much when we're taping our TV shows, like Bullshit or Fool Us, we've done those. I try so much to tell everybody, okay, it's just a live show. Let's just go. Let's just do it. No one fucks up. And then 20 minutes later, you're going, okay, we're going to start any second now.
Right.
And I always wonder, you just cannot lie to yourself at that level. Because every night we go out, we've never missed a show. We've never been late. We go out, we do it. And things have been really, really wrong, and we get through the show, but you can't fake that. But it's wonderful. I love doing live. And you've done a lot of live theater, right?
Yeah, I did a Broadway show for a few months.
What Broadway show was that?
It's called Boeing Boeing,
Oh, yeah.
based on the old French farce, and they did a movie as well.
Right. And wasn't that a Jack Lemmon or Tony Curtis?
I think it was Tony Curtis. But yeah, and then it was Mark Rylance who was in it.
You worked with Mark Rylance?
I did.
Tell me everything.
I spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of time kissing because it was just so ridiculous. Just rolling. I played the German flight. There's 3 flight attendants. The Boeing
Right.
comes. It's one guy's dating 3 girls: the German, the Italian, and the American.
And it's the doors open.
And the doors are going over. And then all of a sudden they introduce the Super Boeing or whatever they have, and the schedules get all fakaked, and we all the girls are at his apartment at the same time.
Yeah, I saw Mark.
And Mark is his best friend, and
I saw him in
foil.
Jerusalem, in London, and thought it was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen, and thought, well, that's kind of the guy. They found this guy who's kind of the guy. And then I saw that he was in Boeing Boeing and went, no, you can't do both those
he's
characters.
extraordinary. I mean, really, just such a talent.
He is supposed to be super method, isn't he? Or no?
He ran like the old Globe for like 10. I mean, he's a huge theater actor.
Yeah.
He's been around forever, and
And what was it like to work with him?
it was really fun. It was my favorite things that we did. I came into
More
the show.
kissing than running, right?
Yes, more. No, there was a lot of running and kissing. It was a lot. I had just gotten married too. It was very, very funny. No, I'm no longer married to that person, but anyway. It's
Also,
a lot.
which
That's
ran
another
longer?
Podcast. Yeah, exactly.
Which ran longer?
Yes. But we would. One of the things. So in the play, it was myself, and it was Gina Gershon.
Oh my goodness!
And Catherine Hahn were the 3 in the beginning, and
was Gina Gershon American or Italian?
she was the Italian.
Okay.
And every day during the second intermission, I guess.
2 intermissions?
There was 2 intermissions.
For Boeing?
Yeah, it's crazy.
What is it, Showa?
Pretty much. But there would
No,
there
it's
would
Boeing,
be this.
and then Boeing, and then Boeing.
Thank you. Mark would play with Gina, they would play backgammon for like this game, this run. And so when she left the show, I started playing with him. So we would like stop. We'd just go sit and play backgammon for like 7 minutes. It was like the most, one of the sweetest, most sort of civilized things I've ever done. Like just in the middle, you just kind of go sit. We would go, have our water, whatever, change, pee, and then we go sit and play backgammon for 7 minutes.
That's so nice.
And then we go back and play. Just lovely.
It's one of those
just
things, right?
lovely actors.
It's one of the things that Godot brought up, which is like you do that and you feel like you should do that every day, and it's so relaxing, and then all of a sudden it just stops, and then you'll never.
I haven't played backgammon since that day.
Exactly.
We
I
played
was the best in
every
the
day.
world for an
Yes.
hour.
Yes.
You're talking about all this stuff. My run in my show has been 43 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
What do
guy
you do
that I
in
see
intermission?
backstage.
Oh, you don't have intermission.
No, well, sometimes on the road, on Broadway. On Broadway we didn't last time, but we've done it occasionally. In London and in England, our whole tour we had an intermission. I often go out and talk to people, hang out, or I go backstage and go, "Wow, David Bowie did shoot Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars back here." This is amazing. Or when I played the Hammersmith Apollo, I went out and ran up and down the back stairs, because those are the stairs from A Hard Day's Night with the Beatles. So I ran up and down those and did a lot of video of me. It's been a hard day. Because, that was the Hammersmith Apollo is where the Beatles played the most, the Clash, Talking Heads, all those TV shows. I mean, all the films were shot there. It's a big deal to me. But I don't really do, when we were off Broadway, we were real carny trash. And it was a theater that shared the dressing rooms in the back. And there were two theaters, one upstairs, one downstairs. And upstairs were Steppenwolf doing Orphans.
Sure.
And downstairs were Penn and Teller. We shared the same dressing room. And John Mahoney, fabulous actor.
I did a Steppenwolf play back in the day.
Terry.
Terrence Mann.
No, Terry. He's great. He's in Billions. What's his last name?
I forgot.
Great actor.
Yeah.
But they're all Steppenwolf.
Terry, great actor guy from Steppenwolf.
They're all backstage with us, And Teller and I would be doing nothing. We'd be on our computers, our feet up.
Terry Kinney.
Terry Kinney,
Nice.
fabulous. They're all great actors. And these guys are back there going, red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. And they are doing all these vocal exercises, and they are meditating, and they are focusing, and they are yelling, and they are emoting, and they look over, and there's this two-piece of carny trash with their feet up with no indication that they were going on stage.
And it could have been stagehand.
And I remember, exactly. And I remember Teller, a Broadway opening, I think it was. It must have been one of our later Broadway openings because Teller had a cell phone. I remember Teller on the phone, right? And is coming down to the queue, and Teller's on the phone going, yeah. Well, I guess I could be there at 11 on Wednesday morning if the cable guy's going to, okay. Put his phone down at the table and walked out on stage. That was the opening
That's all
on
the
Broadway.
prep, yeah.
That was the prep Teller did. Bye.
Some actors will pretend to talk on the phone if they have an early morning audition, just so they actually get their voice going in the morning, so that they actually don't sound groggy when they first walk in, but they're embarrassed to be doing vocal exercises in front of people.
Is that true?
Yes.
And you've busted him on that?
Never heard of it.
I'm almost
you're on
positive.
the phone.
The real actor here, Matt, has never heard of that.
Then I rescind my comment.
They're on the phone. Red leather.
Yeah, exactly. Can I speak to red leather or yellow leather or red leather or yellow leather? Is the rubber baby Bubby Bunker in? Bumper.
Now we're going to get. Should we talk about? No, we on the Wednesday
Break.
show.
We can do
talk
Wednesday
about your
show,
stuff, right?
Break into a new show.
Oh yeah.
do
So
that.
that was Penn Sunday School. Cha cha
That
cha.
might have been Penn Sunday School.
So that was it?
You
We're done?
become naked. We're gonna do another one right now. So keep the tits on.
We're doing another one?
Yeah, we're gonna do Wednesday's show. That's Missi Pyle sitting across from me. Our movie director's cut is on Amazon Prime right now. Check it out. She is so wonderful. You
So
won't believe it.
wonderful.
Boy, you're good. And on the DVD, the people are getting who did the doning, they have the scene that you worked so hard on that we cut. That's on the DVD.
Shakespeare?
Yeah, you're doing
I
Shakespeare.
ruined my voice on that.
I know. And then we threw it away.
Like, if they, those fuckers.
Story of your life.
I still have a broken vocal cord.
Yeah,
from
story
that.
of your life.
Yeah.
Those fuckers. That's all. That's the other name for your
I should
autobiography.
be suing you right now instead
Breast-
of wearing your implants.
Breasts like
sitting at your table.
Best like the Rockies and Those Fuckers. Although Those Fuckers is a good name for an autobiography.
Those fuckers.
Yeah, Those Fuckers.
Yeah.
Good. Let's do another one. Anybody have to pee or anything? Let's go.
So Missy, I was told, according
I do
to
have to leave relatively soon.
Okay, we'll do a little more quickly.
yeah, you just want to like do it until you have to go. And
Yeah,
we'll just
I
excuse
think
you?
I need to leave around 1:15. That's about 17 minutes from now.
Go,
Is that
go,
okay?
go. Roll it. Let's go.
And to our listening ears, all angels sing and round us rings the music of the spheres.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn Sunday School, starring Penn Gillette. My name is Michael Ludo, and Penn, Matt Donnelly, and I are broadcasting from Show Creator Studios in Las Vegas. Today is part 2 of our show with star of stage and screen, the great Missi Pyle. She's right here in studio with us wearing some fake tits. Here he is preaching love, Mr. Penn Gillette.
You know, Missy,
Yes.
when people lose an arm and they have certain kinds of phantom pain,
Right.
and they many times they'll feel their hand clutched, right? It's still clutched.
Yes.
And they want to open it up. They do this thing where they put a mirror in between their two hands, and they have them move their two hands, and the brain will start to do self-image of having the other hand, and they can control it and open it up. It does the pain. You having those massive Genostahagens
Yes.
will start to
Which one?
perceive yourself in that way, and you may then need to do the body morph to match that.
It's very possible. I mean, I don't know if I would go this big.
I think you need to. Oh, don't please.
Just don't mess with, just go as big as possible.
You don't want to
Go big
see
or
me.
go home.
You don't want to see me cry.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you
Just
want
so
to.
that we could keep you from
I think you want to be totally a stack of hoe.
raining from your eyes.
I just made up that term, stack of hoe.
It's pretty
Stack of
good.
hoe is a pretty good term. Stack of home is a great term. What was the worst movie you've been in, Missi Pyle? Besides Director's Cut?
Other than
I don't want to make you uncomfortable, which is available now on Amazon Prime. And we'll just say, for the record, you can deny it later, not the worst movie you've been in.
Definitely nothing to. No, it's one of my favorites. It's so weird and interesting.
So,
I mean, it's such
what's
a
the
strange-
worst movie you've been in?
I did a movie called The Cottonwood. It was pretty bad.
What was the hook on that?
That was a guy
He
who
was playing a tree.
basically.
That's not your lowest score on your Rotten Tomatoes page, just so you know.
Well, what is that one? Would it be a haunted house?
That's Just Before I Go is your lowest rated.
Really?
I know.
That was not that bad. That was actually kind of nice. This one's probably not even.
I'll
rated,
inform
though.
Rotten
See, look, I
Tomatoes.
have a Rotten Tomatoes page, just in case anybody was wondering. I have a Rotten Tomatoes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah.
Missy
you
with
so
an
much.
Missy with an I,
Yeah,
Pyle
like
with a
I
Y.
changed it when I was in 7th grade.
Missy with an I, Pyle with a Y. You've
thank
probably said
you.
that a lot, haven't you?
No, but you say it well for me. Actually, I have. I always say Missy with an I. But
Would you want to say Pyle with a Y?
I'll take it. I'll take it. Do I have to pay you every time I say
no,
it?
no.
Okay, good.
No,
No royalties.
Just keep those breasts that size, and we'll.
Oh,
call it-
really?
call it a deal.
This is great. And this
demanding.
is a hard bargain.
Missy with an I, Pyle with a Y, both with triple D. Yeah, that's the
These
whole.
have to be at least. This is bigger than a triple D.
You know
a
how,
lot.
how many people have wanted to do what you just did there?
I just looked at my shirt at my friends.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, because we can get a jump on this, there's no score for Director's Cut yet on Rotten Tomatoes.
Thank you. Thank you. God is kind.
This movie I did was called. It was called. What did I say it was called?
Cottonwood.
Cottonwood. Oof. This guy had gotten. Who do you want to call? Thank you. This guy got won some money from the lottery or got whatever, and decided to make a movie based on all of his favorite movies put together.
Uh-huh.
And so he made. Yeah, it was pretty bad. That was the premise of the movie. So the movie ended up being just really bad.
Yeah.
But like Cynthia Nixon was
So he
in
put
it,
together
Jake
the worst parts
Reeves.
of his favorite movies.
No, it was the yeah. It's hard to even, but that was the hook. It was the guy in the movie won the money and wanted to make a movie of all of his favorite movies, which is a terrible idea. Anyway,
Right.
Is it separate from like
was
your
my first
experience?
movie I
It is
ever
such
did.
an idea that I would have, but go ahead.
It was the first. But you would probably execute it a little bit better. But it was the first
But still
movie
executed.
I ever did, and it was just so exciting to know that I was going to be doing a movie.
Yeah.
I was going to be playing. My name was going to come out.
And
I
what was your
very
first? What was your first New York show? Live? You did a live show before movies, or movies before a live show?
I did theater. Like I went to drama school for theater, and so I did a lot of plays there. And then I did some off Broadway stuff. And then and then I did Steppenwolf. I did a play called The Libertine with John Malkovich when I was like 23, which was
really?
pretty crazy.
Wow.
In Chicago.
And was John Malkovich as good as we think he would be
Yes.
compared to Mark
was-
Rylance?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Grudge
a
match,
tough
cage
one.
match. One comes out alive. Which one?
Probably Rylance.
Yeah.
But Malkovich
mean, I
was
was
so
saying-
fun too. I mean, Malkovich always had like a delicate scarf around his neck every day. You know, I mean, he's married to a French woman, and I don't know if they're still married, but he just everything. But he's very posh, you know. And we were doing a new play. It was a play that they had done in London that had won all the awards, the Olivier Awards, and so we were doing it in Chicago. And we would start doing we'd be reading one scene, and then he would have to have a conversation about it, and then that conversation would go on for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Then everyone would leave the table because he was trying, I was just talking about what was the actual scene, how it should be changed. So it was just, it's a lot of pontificating.
Oh, good.
Working with him, but he was great. It was fun to work with him because I never knew what he was going to do on stage. He would do things differently, and normally people don't do that. So he would all of a sudden just turn around and like break. Like I was like, oh, what are we doing now? And I really liked that.
Well, me, I take the same number of steps, same breaths, everything in our show.
Right.
I'm just a trained pig act.
But you change everything up a lot, right?
Yeah, we put in new stuff. Yeah.
How often? Like the show I saw last night.
Whatever the fuck we want. When you saw the linking rings we put in the show, we had done that maybe 7 times.
Okay.
But we put in stuff. I'll be putting a new bit probably Tuesday night, putting a new thing. But right now, when we're working towards Fool Us, where we need to have 12 new bits to put on TV, we'll put in a new bit every couple weeks,
Okay.
and then take something out. But it's hard because we can't just, it's not like a band, we can just plug stuff in. A little bit easier. You still have to know about pacing and so on. But we have to make sure that it hasn't been 2 solo teller bits in a row or too much talking in a row, or we have to load our pockets off stage and sneaky stuff we have to do. And, my hand, I can't do this bit because I'd have to be holding something sneaky in my hand for 6 minutes, and I'm probably going to flash it to the audience and stuff like that. So there's a lot of jigsaw puzzle work in putting in a new bit. So I went because I have a son. I watched Ready Player One, and there was this actor in it playing like a Bill Gates type character, and I said, "Man, actor is so good. He's so real." Mark Rylance.
What is Mark Rylance?
He pops up all the time, and I never recognize him because I'm not good at that. And I always say, "Boy, that guy's good,
Right. He's so good.
crazy good."
Now you brought up Penn. You have to go to work. You have to show up, and you've done off-Broadway shows and a Broadway run. Is that something it's not part of it? Like I feel like every actor say like, well, I really love the theater, but I also want to do movies and television. Do you like that idea or not like the idea of like showing up every night, same time?
I find
doing
it really hard. I found Boeing is a very challenging play. And all you were talking about the vocal warm-ups. I would have to, I'd come on the stage and be like, Bernhard Lili! I was playing this German, and so I'd have to scream, and I felt like I was screaming. We had no mics, and so the guy was like, it's just going to have to be louder than that.
Oh my god!
So I would do a lot of vocal warm-ups for that, and my voice got very strong, but it was very intense. And I found it really, really difficult. I found it more challenging than doing a film that you are shooting, 12 hours a day for. And you're only working for... we did 2 days. We get a matinee and an evening show.
Hey, you
but
did a show week.
it was an show. I thought it was really hard. And it was a long show. It was a 3-hour show. So that was...
Yeah, when we first went on Broadway, because we were crazy, our show was 2.5 hours. We did a very long show, and when I would do, we discovered that when we would do a 2-show day, I had more lines than any actor in Nicholas Nicklesby, which is the 8 hours Dickens play. And we did a schedule because Teller and I wanted more days off on Broadway, and because it was just us, we were producing and we owned everything. We could do whatever schedule we wanted, except for overtime for the crew, which we just paid. We did 2 Friday, 3 Saturday, and 2 Sunday. So we did 7 shows in 3 days.
3 days.
And then we would just do Thursday and we were done for our week. So we had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But 2 Friday, 3 Saturday, 2 Sunday. By the last show
on Sunday.
Sunday night, I didn't know where I was or who I was.
Yeah, it's a
And there's
lot.
that line by Springsteen that always makes me laugh. On one of the bootlegs, Springsteen goes, "Like I was telling the people last night." And you go, Bruce, a lot of us weren't here last night. And I would often have a continuity that didn't exist.
Right.
I had a relationship with the audience that for those 7 shows was exactly the same.
Right.
And the audience was just changing. And then you have the stuff you do that the audience really thinks they're witnessing something insane. I would finish a bit and start it again.
Oh, wow.
Word for word, move for move. And the bit would start casually, like, I think what we're going to do next is we'll, and then
But you had just done it.
I just finish it, and then I go, I think what we're going to do next is we will, and all of a sudden I would see, stage manager doing this,
Right.
or Teller running out on stage and going, I go, did we just do that? That's over. I go, okay. And there was one night after I was doing
3 performances in one day.
Yeah,
That's like a 2.5 hour show.
Not quite 2.5, about 2:10. So you were on, and during the intermissions, I would be out talking to people. So in one day, we would have 7 hours really on stage, and then we'd sign autographs after each one, and that's another 45 minutes. So that adds, you're at about 9 hours a day that you've been actually interacting and performing with people, and it would get crazy. And there was one night when we were finishing the final monologue, probably in a life full of very stupid moments. One of my stupidest moments was I was doing a movie, and I was doing Miami Vice, and I was doing 8 shows a week, and I hadn't slept in a really long time, and I was on stage. And I finished my fire eating and the long monologue that goes with that.
Sure.
As you do.
As you do.
And then
This morning. Boy.
the show ended with Teller blowing out the candle on stage I've been lighting my torches from. And then all the lights were killed in the theater, which were very few things. It's just mostly candlelight. And then the music would hit and all the lights would come up and everything was waiting for the cue. So I was on stage and Teller had the candle ready to go, and I could see a little bit of glow in the booth, everybody ready to go, and the headsets are ready to call it, and I could not, for the life of me, remember what my
What you were
line
supposed to
was.
say.
And I knew that I had one more line in the show, and I knew that nothing would happen until I said that line. And I froze on stage for a really, really long time and went, what am I, Jesus. And then I said under my breath, Christ. And Teller said, my name is Penn Jillette. I went, my name is Penn Jillette, my partner Teller. We're Penn and Teller. Thanks a lot. Good night.
It was my name is Pendula that you
That's what I blanked on. I could not remember how and everybody with this huge relief, boom, and all the lights go out and explosion of music and big deal. Could not remember my name is
get
Penn
it.
Jillette.
It's so strange
And
when
I'd
it
said it
happened.
many times.
Yeah.
Many crazy amounts of times. Did you ever go up on your lines in
Oh
Broadway?
yeah. Oh, not on Broadway, no. But I did. There was a moment.
You never went up on your lines in Broadway? I'm so humiliated now.
No. I've done it before, but there
There's
was
no story that she can tell that should allow you to feel unhumiliated. You didn't know your own name.
It didn't let you off.
I did that once in high school. But there was this one time when I had these big braids, this.
'Cause you were German.
German, a big blonde with all these German braids.
Teutonic,
Yes.
like your breasts
At one
now.
point, the braid was coming out and just flopping on everyone's face. And we just had a full, we all just stopped and giggled for, a couple minutes. There were definitely moments where we just broke the fourth wall and we would laugh and it would be hard to contain.
I was at a performance of Cuba and His Teddy Bear, I think it was called, or something. Robert De Niro on Broadway, and he was in a scene in the in a kitchen. And I believe he has his own tank top, dirty white T-shirt that he brings to every show he's going to do anyway, because he knows he's going to be wearing it. And he's at the kitchen table, I think, smoking a cigarette with a cup of coffee, and another character is one of those plays. And there's plays where
Frankie and
people
Johnny
smoke.
and the Claire de Lune.
Yeah, sure, all those plays. And somebody in the audience had a heart attack, and the paramedics had to come in, and the house lights had to go up. And I was sitting in the front row center, and very far away from where the accident was happening, the medical emergency. And I felt, and maybe I'm wrong, that my medical expertise was not needed. So I was not running up and gathering around trying to save the person's life. I was sitting in the seat, and I watched De Niro 12 minutes
He stayed on stage?
smoke a cigarette, drink coffee, and look at the other actor waiting for his line. He never once looked out to what was happening, never once broke the fourth wall, never did anything, just sat there, because it was all so perfect. He was a character that had to be thinking of the last line he heard. So it was 12 minutes. Put a cigarette away, light another one. Stir his
amazing.
coffee.
They didn't leave the stage? They just went into...
Well, I think the other actor would have left the stage in any other circumstance, except
Right.
De Niro's not leaving. It's like the Queen or something. You're not allowed to leave the room, whatever, before or after the Queen. I don't know. I was not calling Robert De Niro Queen.
I mean,
But,
Yeah, Robert De Niro's on the phone.
so he would just be, and I just thought, wow. I guess that's what an actor would do, right?
Yeah.
Sure, you could do that. That's one of your choices. And so if this had been a real scene,
right.
Robert De Niro had just taken a really, really long time to think
took
of
a
his
long
next line.
pause.
Yeah.
I dream about that a lot, though. I have dreams where I can't remember. I'm going up on stage and I haven't learned the script. And I keep looking for this. Does anyone have a copy of it? So I can does anyone have a copy of the
Oh,
script
yeah,
that I
sure.
could just look at this page? This one line I can't remember.
Well, Teller's my prompter. If I go too long without saying a line, it gets said by the silent guy next to me. And there's only been twice that Teller's gone, I don't know. We've both been frozen on stage. And he goes, I don't know where we are.
Do you think Teller will ever speak? People must ask you that all the time. I know he talks to kids and talks to people a little
Yeah,
bit.
almost every show we do. Yeah, what we used to do on Bullshit was he would always in the voiceover do like one line as an impersonation of me. So he was always doing that. But we always do jokes. I mean, I remember usually it's "fuck you." I remember
what he'll say.
John Stewart pushed really hard for Teller to talk, and Teller went, "Fuck yourself." Teller went, "Okay, fine."
Amazing.
But I know Teller also he lectures. He gives lectures on magic. We do Q&As and stuff. He'll talk. And what I love about that is that the audience loves to keep their dual realities. So this happens to me all the time, and it makes me laugh so much. People come off stage and they'll go up to get an autograph from Teller, and they'll say something to him. And he talks back, like the show, thank you very much, and signs the autograph. They walk over. They'll come over to me and go, I love it that Teller never, ever, ever talks. And I'll have seen them just talking to Teller.
Yeah.
But I love that they have that dual reality. They're very comfortable with it. But Teller is, very, very well spoken, and
Yes.
he's always directing Shakespeare. He's doing. I guess I can't announce this yet, but he'll be doing some more Shakespeare. He just did.
He's doing some
He
Shakespeare.
did Macbeth on the at the Chicago Shakes. I love
Wow.
calling it Chicago Shakes.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what Teller calls it. Other people who work there, Chicago Shakes. But he did The Tempest there, and he did Macbeth there, and he directs and does all that stuff. Teller is clearly. Teller's clearly the smart guy in Penn and Teller, which I'm afraid is damning with faint praise.
Yeah, the person who doesn't talk is always the smartest person in the room, right?
Sure, always. And he gets to win there. And I want you, Missy, before you go, to say very clearly to you
Yes.
that I want you to leave those implants here and get your own.
You know what? You made it very hard for me to be sitting here without that. I just feel like it's a little hypocritical that now you want them back.
We can make it. We can make an agreement.
I'll give you one.
You can keep them.
One.
Boy, now you're Supreme Court Justice. We can,
It's nice and warm.
I was going to say, wow.
that has actual tit
nice and
warmth
warm.
on it.
Yeah.
This says Missi Pyle tit
It's,
warmth.
and it's only going to be warm
Just
for
when
like
we-
another 20 minutes.
Just so we thought we wouldn't have an episode title.
This has touched. Oh, this is
Very, very famous.
exact temperature of your actual
Those are
breasts.
Rotten Tomato rated titties.
But I mean, I'm telling you,
I know,
this is so much more
right?
sexual than it should
It's warm because they're warm.
be. But it's the exact right breast temperature.
You're welcome because that's from a breast,
And now it's
from my breast
And slowly they're going to
to your
fade.
It's
my
fading.
chest to your
Yeah.
it's fading like
And
the
she's
beauty
still
of life.
here.
It's fading.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh,
I'm
Missy,
sorry I have to leave you,
you
to go
look-
get on a plane.
You look so much worse now.
Oh, I know. Thank you.
She seems hungry now somehow. I don't.
It did fill a void I didn't know that I had.
Yeah, but I think you have to think about that as phantom breast syndrome. And we
FBS.
know how to fix it.
Maybe we can do. Maybe your wife can do a charity for my FBS.
Yes, phantom breast syndrome.
PBS? How do you spell Phantom?
Oh, P.
Yeah.
You
Sorry.
know what?
I should have just shut up until you left, right? I could have just corrected for the audience.
I mean,
and
the
then-
audience would have been like,
yeah, blah, blah, blah.
I guess there's a Rotten Tomatoes for spelling.
Oh, fuck you guys.
You
Okay.
know, it's actually there's a medical problem called phantom, which is spelled with an F.
Thank you.
We're just gonna go with that.
I love
Yeah,
that. Okay.
you're right. Good.
That's
You're
what
right.
it
It's
is.
a P. It's a P. Right. I'm gonna come give you a hug.
You go put your headphones off. Talk about something, Godot.
Talk
Yeah.
about something. while we
Take a
do
proper picture, too.
Thank you.
this. You guys should pose for a photo. Don't smack heads into stuff.
Godot, did we miss our chance to do the Al Franken photo?
Yes. Yes, we did.
Thank you.
It still has a little warm.
I know it's a little, just on one side. It's one-sided warm. All right.
One side warm.
One side is warm.
I'm sad.
Goodbye, Missy. Thank you so much. Thank you so
See
much.
around. Thank you.
That was the great, fabulous Missi Pyle
Missi Pyle.
leaving the studio, and Missi Pyle is in the movie director's cut, which is now on Amazon Prime.
That's the first time I met her. She's delightful.
She's fabulous. and She's going to pee.
She's delightful. She can hear me. Oh,
Now you're going to
dang
sit
it.
down
Yeah.
where there is ass warmth,
Yeah, look at that.
and I have breast warmth.
You have breast warmth. I'm getting ass warmth and earphone warmth.
Oh yeah,
I've been robbed.
this is very intimate. So Matt,
Yes.
where are you going to be performing?
Sorry,
What's that?
I had to fix his game. Sorry.
Oh, how's my gain now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm opening up for Piff in Dallas this weekend, September 21st, 22nd, 23rd, or Addison, Texas, which is, but I'll be
That's
doing.
Dallas,
It's Dallas.
where they shoot presidents and shoot people who shoot presidents.
That's right. And it's 6 shows, one of which is an all ages show in the afternoon.
Have you been to Dealey Plaza?
I've not been to Dealey Plaza.
You're gonna go, right?
Sure, yeah,
You should go to Dealey Plaza.
Liar.
I can. I said all the time. Every time you go somewhere to do 6 shows,
Yeah,
people are like,
no.
Are you going to go anywhere? You're like, yeah. And no, I go.
No.
I might go somewhere for lunch, but probably
Yeah,
not
but-
even that.
As long as it's between the theater and the hotel.
I never
Yeah.
go anywhere when I have shows to do. Never. But I'll tell you, Dallas, I went to Dealey Plaza.
Yeah,
It's just so powerful that the world changed there.
I think you're right. Now that you bring it up, I think because it's also like bizarrely small, right?
Yeah, really small.
It feels gigantic when you look at it.
Like the Carson studio. When
Yeah,
the first
yeah,
time
yeah.
you see that, crazy. Now, any other shows coming up?
No, I just I launched a Hillbill campaign thing because it's a
good.
year anniversary of Hillbill. Hillbill is 1 year old, and so we launched a subscription podcast. And the reason why it's a subscription, one, is to generate income, but 2 is that because it's a Magic Nerd Out podcast with my director R.J. Owens.
Oh, good.
And if you
You're doing a Magic Nerd Out podcast?
Yes.
You?
Well, here's the thing, because when I try to talk about it on Ice Cream Social, it's really kind of not their speed. Mm-hmm. And then trying to talk to Magic with you is intimidating and strange because I'm at this young enthusiast point
Oh, yeah.
in Magic.
Oh, there's a thing called the double lift, Penn.
Exactly. And so, and all these little stories I'm doing with magic and stuff that are exciting to me, and you know, I was doing behind the scenes Fools recaps on the Hey Scoops Patreon page, and people really like that. People liked when I talked with you about it, and so I'm having a fun time talking about magic. People seem to want more of it, and some people are curious about the Hillbill story and things like that. So we're launching it. But if you go to abracababble.com,
Abracababble.
that's the name of the
That's
podcast.
a good name.
Yeah.
It's a really good name. Abracababble is a good name.
Yeah, and if you have trouble spelling it, just go to
That's what we're paying you for.
there you go. Patreon.com /Hillbill. And also what's fun is there's the subscription is $1, but there's other tiers on the Patreon campaign where you can participate more. So I'm letting people who back me have a vote on what I work on next.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So and there's different ways to access what we're working on and stuff like
That's
that.
nice.
So
You know,
go check that out.
Ryan Hayashi
Yeah.
came and did his closer for us.
Oh, yeah.
He's just wonderful. He's great. And he corrected me on a lot of stuff and really embarrassing stuff.
That you said on air?
Yeah, a lot of it. As I said, he was a math guy.
Yeah.
He's actually an English teacher.
Okay.
Teaches English and German.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I also said that he'd sent in one thing and then fixed it. No, that's not true.
No.
They'd wanted him from a thing they saw online that he said, no, that's not what I do. This is a better thing I do.
Oh, okay.
And although he does not consider himself a full-time professional,
Right.
he is a full-time professional. He lies about that.
Yeah, I got the sense he was lying about that when we interviewed him.
Well, you know what?
He still has, he has another job.
Yeah. But he could make a living doing it.
His mistake, and perhaps the one you're making currently, is that you believe this is a fact-based show. And that's really simply not the case.
Yeah.
I also want to
Because,
say,
last week we talked a lot about the dragons, and again, we were just dead wrong. It's not a saliva thing. There are mammals with more bacteria in their saliva. They're venomous.
they're venomous.
Yeah.
That whole thing about
Yeah, just made up by some guy in 1969. No one really checked.
it's the venom that kills you.
Yeah.
Just kills you slow.
Yeah, it just kills you slow. It's bad for you.
But we are not the only ones who believe that.
No, good God, no. Everyone on Earth believes the other.
Oh, you just
story.
said that like James Brown.
Wow. God, no.
God, no.
Lord.
Komodo dragon, two-time.
They got venom.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Isn't that great?
Now, did someone
We're
correct
just
you, or
dead
did you
wrong.
find that out yourself?
No, I did some research after the show and read a little more reading.
You were a little bit pissed off that we laughed at you for saying venom.
Yes, exactly. So I did some research.
I
on
want to
it.
say something. I want to say something important.
Is it
Ron, you son of a bitch.
Whoa.
I want to say, Ron, you son of a bitch. I'll tell you why.
Wow.
Now, this was a tough call for us at Portland. And can I say something about Portland?
Please do.
I pride myself in not liking any place. I don't care about any place at all.
Yeah.
No place means anything to me. Motherfucker, I like Portland.
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
Really like Portland. Now, it may be that I've become vegan.
You've become a
meditator.
Portlandian.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You fit in there well
The
now.
air is nice.
Whoa.
I also spent like 7 hours talking to Lawrence Krauss. And Lawrence Krauss, this is the kind of conversation you have with Lawrence Krauss. Lawrence, I finished this Carlo book from Italy. Can you explain time to me? Sure. What did Hawking mean by? Oh, I'll tell you. What was Hawking like when he's talking? Oh yeah, knows everybody in science, knows everything in science, and he will always interrupt you, always correct you, and there is never for an instant even 3 seconds of dead air around Lawrence Krauss. And everything he says is fascinating.
Well, I'd move to Portland, too, for that.
And his good friends.
All right, we're going. That settles it.
His really close friends. Hawking was, of course.
Yeah.
Hitchens was, of course. Dawkins, Woody Allen, Johnny Depp. People he talks to every day,
Wow.
He's just and a wonderful conversationalist and cares, knows Peter Singer really well, cares very much about ethics, cares about politics, reads everything, knows everything, couldn't be better. So that prejudiced me somewhat.
Sure.
And then also Portland is just, the air is nice. I don't have allergies there.
Right.
Everything's
Little
moist.
humidity and moist. Yeah.
Everything's moist. And if you ever just feel like, boy, I'd like to see an ironic beard. Could I see 3 attractive young men who look like the Smith brothers and the cough drops? They just come up to you.
Yeah.
They just come up to you. I'd sure like to see an attractive young woman with a lot of piercings and attractively colored hair. Delivered.
Done.
Done. I'd like to have someone transgendered serve me coffee. Done. So Portland also, we had
A lot of exotic donuts as well.
a lot of it, but I wasn't eating donuts.
I
then.
know.
Although I did have some vegan fries with Lawrence Krauss.
I played Portland opening for Piff.
Did you
and
love it?
I loved it, and I played there on 420. And we both got handed a lot of marijuana cigarettes.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
Lawrence Krauss picked Portland to live based on pointing at a map. He had a list of qualifications that a city had.
Did he
to
used
have.
to live in Phoenix? I thought he
Yeah,
lived in...
in Australia.
Okay.
He commuted from Australia to Phoenix every 2 weeks.
Whoa.
This guy knows airplanes. And he was also lecturing in
And
Germany.
jet lag. We should ask him how to
We
handle
talked about jet lag and his routine for getting through a 13-hour flight
Yeah.
or whatever.
I think he became unstuck in time. I think he became Billy Pilgrim from the Vonnegut. But he and his wife, at that time his new wife, had a list of qualifications. Had to be within 3 hours of, in-laws.
Good airport.
No. Had to have a good
really?
airport. Had to have a good airport, and that airport had to have direct flights at certain times of a day to certain places in the world.
Wow.
Going through, he just did it mathematically.
AAA baseball team.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Oh, and I think there were things like that.
No,
right?
yeah. I've got
And
a
then
list.
they did not visit it. They just
Oh.
went, boom, arrived in, bought a house.
Wow.
And he said he just likes Portland more and more all the time. So, Ron, you son of a bitch, we go out to do our show, and the show is at the Keller Auditorium, where Led Zeppelin played their first U.S. tour, where I think Lyndon Johnson did one of his major
Did
rallies.
one of his big rock scenes.
Rallies. And Fifth Dimension played there, because, of course, Glenn knows that, because Glenn knows everything Fifth Dimension. 3,000 seats, sold out instantly. Probably one of the most receptive crowds we've ever
So
had.
you could probably make a living there. You could buy a small theater and
Fabulous. And so Teller goes out. We're opening with Selfish. Now, Selfish is the trick where the cell phone appears in the fish. Okay. And we have done it a lot on TV. We've done it a lot live. And it's coming out of the show really quickly because it was only put in because Teller's back didn't allow us our other few openings.
right.
But now Teller's better, so we can start doing that. So it was kind of almost a throwback bit. Not new, but it's a really, really good trick. It's a great opener. But Teller has to go in the audience and find someone with a cell phone. And Teller to make this a difficult call because the person who had a cell phone and was holding it up most enthusiastic was wearing a Penn Sunday School T-shirt,
Okay.
which looks a little fishy.
Yep.
Looks a little fishy. And Teller normally wouldn't do that, but Teller figured, everybody knows this trick. It's like playing Walk on the Wild Side.
Yeah.
We're not surprising anybody. If they think she's a plant, who cares?
Yeah.
Because they see how the trick's done anyway. So
Yeah.
it's not like there's deep secrets. So we bring her up. She's wonderful. And I had this heartbreaking thing where I miscalled her gender because of the lighting. You don't see that well.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have to go entirely in our show to they and their constantly because I've had a few gender miscalls, not because of people that are gender fluid,
Right.
but just because of the lighting and making someone uncomfortable. And also, I should not be assuming gender, no matter what someone looks like. But I trained myself when I was brought up using they as a plural for singular was sloppy Western Massachusetts dumb speech. So I trained myself, he or she, himself or herself, and the show has that careful wording. And I've got to let it go because it is offensive, it is old-fashioned, and it does not fit in with the world we live in and does not fit in with the way I want people treated. But I now have this tick of he or she, and he's coming up on stage now. They are coming up on stage. And I've done it now in the past year. I've miscalled gender 3 times, and every time it actually keeps me up at night.
Oh man.
I feel bad. I'm very shook
Sure.
up that I might have made someone uncomfortable. And if I can solve it with this, I will solve it with this. Anyway, I miscalled. She came up. They came up. Can't even do it once.
There you go.
They came up on stage.
Takes practice.
Their name was Mary, and that was great. And I said, whose phone? Does someone have your phone number? She said, yes, my dad. And I said, do you have a special ringtone for your dad? And she said, with this scary big grin, oh, yes, I do. And I went, what's your father's name? She said, Ron. I said, Ron, call your daughter. Which I'm not going to do the gender thing there because I don't have to.
No, now you know.
He called theme from Bullshit. So the theme from Bullshit starts playing and the crowd goes crazy. Now we're pretty sure it's a plant,
Sure.
even though they're not a plant. We're pretty sure they are. Plays the theme to Bullshit. But the
You're
audience,
surprised to learn you have a plant in the show.
yeah, very surprised. And the audience, of course, many of them recognize the theme. And I said, that ringtone be Bullshit, right? And then before I answer the phone to talk to her dad, I go, then there's this asshole. And he hung up on me. And I said, Ron, you son of a bitch, you hung up on me? You hung up on me, you son of a bitch? And, of course, he didn't hang up on me. It was just a glitch and lost the connection. He called again. And after the show, Mary and Ron come up with handfuls of Penn and Teller stuff. And Ron says to me, he said, I didn't hang. I said, I know you didn't hang up on me. It's a joke. He goes, yeah, I know. Could you do me one favor? Could you just, on this week's Sunday school, say, Ron, you son of a bitch? I said, yeah, Ron, I can do that.
That'll be his new ringtone.
I believe that's
a good plan.
I believe that's the plan.
Oh, that's
You
funny.
can pull that out. Did we get it clean so you can pull that out? Do you want it one more time?
One more time because I didn't have cans on.
Ron, you son of a bitch. Then there's this asshole, Ron, and his stupid daughter, Mary. You can pull that out, too. So that's just, and that's not my present to Ron and Mary. That's my present to Portland.
That's absolutely right.
And in Portland, a woman came up to get autograph and kissed me.
Whoa.
And it was very pleasant.
They've made quite a strong play. They sent a couple of key ambassadors to your experience there in Portland.
Did very, very
Chamber
nice.
of Commerce set
Nice,
this up.
The other thing that is so odd to me is my friend Nell Scavell, who has a book out.
Yeah.
Only the Funny Parts, it's called. I mentioned it a few times. Wonderful writer. Wrote on, let's just cut it down a little bit, everything.
Everything.
Letterman, Simpsons, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. That's the reason I was on Sabrina the
Smothers
Teenage Witch.
Brothers.
Smothers Brothers, everything. Name a show. She wrote. I think she worked on Hamlet.
Yes. Yeah.
Everything. She sent me a clip.
We have Mary from the show on the message board.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did I do? Everything right?
Yeah. She said, I didn't even notice what you said, but you did great, Penn, and I am a girl.
So I can say she
Yeah.
with proper. Well, she made that very clear after that. It was just coming up in a T-shirt and the lights in her hair. I don't see well, so I should accept that I don't see well.
Right.
But it always makes me feel bad. And she's forgiven me. And does she say that Ron is a son of a bitch?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Says everyone does. Everyone thinks.
Can I solve this up without changing your grammar?
Well, yeah.
Code it.
What?
Teller's talking to him anyway. Code it.
Oh, yeah, I could do that.
I don't know what that means.
But I don't have an earpiece in.
You could do a hand signal. Nobody's watching.
If I can't see, they're coming up in a 3,000-seat auditorium from halfway back. I never once saw Teller talking to those people.
That's fair.
Never once saw him.
So where'd the fish come from?
His code could be jumping jacks while painting his body purple, and I still wouldn't see him.
And that's for a guy or a girl?
That would be for transgender. And
Maybe a laser.
they're coming up. They were coming up, and they don't come into. They're halfway walking before I see them for a moment, and these are big stages, Led Zeppelin size stages. Okay.
All right.
And I don't mean the band. I mean, you could fit a Led Zeppelin.
Talking about a dirigible.
So Nell Scovell.
Yeah.
I should do this, shouldn't I? We'll get to what Nell Scovell sent me after this.
Tease.
Yeah, it was a tease. It was a really good tease. What are we going to talk? Oh, that's right. It's September. What's September? What's September, Matt Donnelly?
First month.
National Life Insurance Month.
Everybody knows that.
No.
What is wrong
no.
with you?
It says right here, most people aren't aware of that.
What?
True.
In fact, most people
Everyone
aren't
I
aware
know knows it.
they
That
need
paper is
life
correct.
insurance.
We're having a party.
40% of
afternoon.
people don't have life insurance. But getting life insurance can either be difficult or expensive. Right now, prices are the lowest they've been in 20 years. And Policy Genius has made it easier than ever to get covered. Policy Genius is the easy way to get life insurance online. In just 2 minutes, you can compare quotes from the top insurers and find the best policy for you. And when you compare quotes, you save money. It's that simple. Policy Genius has helped over 4 million people shop for insurance. So if you're looking for a good reason to buy life insurance, here's 3. It's National Life Insurance Awareness Month. Prices are at a 20-year low, and Policy Genius makes it wicked easy for you right now. Wicked crazy easy. Go to policygenius.com, which is harder if I spell it. Policygenius.com. Get quotes and apply in minutes. You do the whole thing on your phone right now. Policy Genius, the easy way to compare and buy life insurance. If you like this show, you need to check out the Pro Football Focus podcast. They have the NFL podcast where each week they grade every player on every play of the NFL season to give you a look inside the game no one else can rival. Then check out their Forecast podcast where they give you the best analytics and gambling tips in the football world. So check out PFF's NFL and Forecast podcasts weekly on Podcast One, also called
Podcastistone.
or wherever you get your favorite podcast. So Nell Scovell sent me this thing. I was, as I have been since 2016, gobsmacked. The world is so different for me. I used to wonder what it was like for my dad to see the late 60s. And see things that he just took as absolutely true turned upside down. And Nixon, and what it was like for my dad to experience Nixon and Kent State and the dollar not being backed by gold. And, you know, during the, we covered this with Kurt Anderson a year ago today. Kurt Anderson talked about during 69 and 70, how many bombs, terrorist bombs, went off a year in the United States of America? Anybody know?
I don't know the number now.
Okay. Well, let me give you a big hint. How many a month? Let me give you a bigger hint. How many a week? Let me give you a bigger hint. How many a day? 10 a week. More than 1 a day terrorist bombings in the USA in 69 and 70. Can you imagine if that were happening now?
Yeah.
There would be martial law.
Yeah.
There's no doubt there'd be martial law. And this was, you know, the weathermen, the SDS. I don't want to name, but it was predominantly from what self-identified as the left, and part of, you know, bringing down the pig power structure. And yet we had. Now you had, how many bomb threats did you have at your school when you were going to school?
Legit?
No, you had to empty out the school for a bomb threat.
One.
Good deal?
None. Zero.
None. Yeah, we had about one every 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow.
Bomb threats called in. Not true.
No.
Not real, but all the same. Emptied out the school. Ready?
I think 3.
Okay. That used to be a level of danger that we lived with. Okay. But anyway, so the world, I know if someone listens to this show and says, Penn's view, you know, like trying to change from he or she to they, my heart is completely behind it, 100%. And I understand intellectually it's just old dog, new tricks.
Right.
It's just a
Still can't quite do it.
Yeah, but I will be able to.
Every intention to do it. It's just going to take a month.
I will
to
be
learn.
able to, and it's the right thing to do. I just wish the world had gone a little differently, and they had picked a non-gender pronoun that wasn't the plural that we're already using.
Right.
You know, and a lot of those have been. There was Tay was suggested, and T was suggested. T and Tiz were all suggested, and I thought there was better choices. But that doesn't matter. I got my vote. I was alive during that time. My vote was not registered. It is now the plural becomes the singular. Simple, done. I just have to learn it. Give me time. Also, the president that we have, I believe, is harder for me to accept than for my dad to accept Nixon. You know,
Right.
my dad, who was who believed presidents were good men.
Right.
When Watergate hit, it was very, very, very difficult. He wasn't a Nixon supporter. It wasn't like he couldn't believe his guy did this.
Right.
He just couldn't believe that a person in that position could do this. He couldn't believe that you could have a bad president. He couldn't believe that a president went crazy. You know, Nixon was not the first in history. We've had a lot of bad presidents before that, but his moment my dad saw in his lifetime, he had presidents he disagreed with, but no president he didn't respect. That would not even on the table. Oh, there's a president, you know, and now it's acceptable to not respect the president. Has been for 30 years, 40 since Nixon.
Yeah.
And now we have a president who I am finding the resolution of cognitive dissonance so difficult. I don't believe that if you put me under sodium pent and stripped away, got down to my heart, what I really believe, I don't believe that I believe that Donald Trump is president. Oh, I really don't think I do.
Yeah.
I really don't think I do.
It does seem impossible.
It's impossible. And every time you hear a new outrage from him, it's impossible that it's real. I always think, I really do. And I'm not even hyperbolizing or bullshitting. I sometimes think, oh, that was a dream. You know?
Wow.
Yeah, how can that be? So now, Kavanaugh is trying to be the Supreme Court justice. I don't follow the news on a daily basis anymore. I read books, magazine. I don't read the daily news. I don't want to hear it anymore. I get the stuff at the end of a week. I really read the weekly news. And so now it's Kavanaugh cannot be Supreme Court justice. And once again, the end justifies the means. So the other side, instead of going, you know, you guys are really dicks about Obama's Supreme Court, we're going to do the right thing. That's not even considered. Because the stakes are too high. And okay, I can see that point of view.
Sure.
Maybe you're right. I'm not going to argue that battle now. What I'm arguing is now it's been brought up, now not in the Senate. I don't want to, because I don't need to self-aggrandize, because this is already too insane. Slate, which is supposed to be real political writing, is quoting somebody who was clerking for Kaczynski, Alex Kaczynski, who they refer to, man, this broke my heart, they refer to as the disgraced justice, a Ninth Circuit judge, Alex Kaczynski, who had some of the most important rulings that you're ever going to see, that I agree with very much. He's no longer a judge. He left because of, I'm going to call this because everybody else is calling it. I don't think it's actually accurate, but me too.
Okay.
You know, part of that for things in the workplace that people didn't like. He happens, I can't speak to this politically because Alex Kaczynski is a friend of mine. And there's that difficulty of the loyalty to ideas or loyalty to people. And I don't want to talk about the ideas now. I just want to say Alex Kaczynski is my friend. So if I have friends that are going through stuff, I support them emotionally. And I'm afraid that I cannot be in any way objective or rational about claims against him. Not talking about that. We're not talking about Alex Kaczynski. I didn't bring it up on the show. I love him. He's brilliant. And I agree with what he did on the bench. I think almost all the time, and if I don't, it's because I'm wrong. Fabulous on privacy, very libertarian, liberal judge, who, by the way, now that he's been taken out for these for the things he did, that I believe that judgeship will be replaced by Trump, which is Ninth Circuit, which is us, and California, and Portland.
Yeah.
Ninth Circuit. I'm sorry, I'll get a little emotional because Kaczynski went through a very hard time. And I also think the country goes through a hard time for not having him. Whose fault that is, I don't want to get into. But the country has a hard time because we have a judge who is wonderful, who will be replaced with a judge that money says will not be as wonderful. Speaking of money says will not be as wonderful, we have Kavanaugh. And Kavanaugh, I think if I understand this right, clerked for Kaczynski. So what's come up is that Kaczynski occasionally sent out jokes and told jokes. And I know that. Kaczynski and I have shared jokes. And I don't think, let me ask you this, Matt Donnelly.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a room with two other comedians, people who worked in comedy, telling jokes that you went 5 minutes without something being said that couldn't be said in any company in a G-rated thing? Have you ever done that?
Wait, how many times that didn't happen, or how many times that did happen?
Have you ever had 5 minutes
Yeah.
with two comedians
Yeah.
where every single thing would have passed every rigor of kindness and language
No.
and everything? Every moment of it.
No, and this is.
Have you ever, Godot?
No, it's impossible.
Yeah. So Kaczynski and I will tell jokes, and I believe, I'm not saying he's a professional comedian, but the two of us were telling jokes in a room.
Outside of professional comedy, sorry, I don't want to get on this, but like the amount of people that I've gone to where they say like, "Oh, this is my good friend so and so," when we get into it, you don't even want to.
Oh
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's way outside of comedy. It's that's the
right.
thing that bothers me. Is like it's a
It may be just within our culture.
yeah.
I'm not sure you would get that same thing in every African culture or every Chinese culture.
Right.
But Americans really, really like transgressive humor.
And it's and to trust the room is to trust that you have your moral compass. That's what makes it a joke. You know,
Right.
And it used to be considered a sense of like camaraderie, ball busting.
Dom
you know, like
Herrera's opening joke is, I think it's important to judge people by the color of their skin.
right.
That's his opening joke.
Yeah.
And that's only a joke because you know Dom Herrera's heart.
Yeah, you can't.
Yes.
David Duke cannot do that joke.
No.
When David Duke does that, it's not a joke.
No.
And of course, well, I mean,
But what I'm going to say is like I know
Sarah Silverman.
And I want you to get back on your point, but it's just like it's that what we're just expressing. That's also been the cultural norm for way longer than the weird way that we're holding people accountable now for things that are private. It's just strange,
Or public.
right?
Or public.
Oh no, or public.
It's a nutty time. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not even saying that the new way is wrong.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, motherfucker, it's really hard for a 63-year-old man
yeah,
who's worked his life in comedy to adjust to that.
yeah.
You can teach me, but it's going to take me a while, and I'll make mistakes on the way. So, I believe I'm telling the story right. One of the clerks that was talking to Kavanaugh, coming in to work with Kaczynski, said, some of the jokes get pretty raunchy around here. I don't think he used the word raunchy, but get pretty raunchy around here. You might have to watch The Aristocrats and get comfortable with it. In a news story, a movie that I did 10 years ago
Yeah.
is being cited as why we might not want a person to be a Supreme Court justice. Because one of the people clerking used the name of my movie. And when I say my movie, of course, Provenza's movie. Provenza and I both were, and Provenza did more on it than I did. And I don't say that to not take responsibility. I say that to
Yeah.
give credit.
Yeah.
'Cause,
It was a hit.
yeah,
It was a hit movie.
yeah.
And also, by the way, like
By the way, we couldn't do The Aristocrats now.
no, you could not. And
No one would be in it.
a dream scenario for me to walk into any job. If someone would say, "Hey, go watch this movie,"
Yeah.
and if anything in there is not for you, then don't come work here. I'd be like, "Holy shit! I just found the best job."
But I tell you, Nell Scavell just knocked me on my ass. You know, I remember my life my life, the life I've chosen, should never, ever have slipped into the news. Never. The mention of me in the New York Times should never have gotten out of the entertainment section.
Right.
Ever. And I was never getting out of the entertainment section.
Right.
And now, since 2015, I have been in the news section of the New York Times. Why? I haven't done anything newsworthy. Never. Nothing. I haven't been like Sean Penn at the floods helping out. You know? I didn't donate a kidney, which, by the way, isn't newsworthy because so many altruists do it. But I haven't, I haven't attacked anyone. I haven't put legislation through. Bill Gates can be in the news, even though he's not in politics. I can't. And yet, the New York Times, the list of people the President of the United States hates. For a short period of time, the New York Times had me on that list above Hillary Clinton. And the other people on that list, Whoopi Goldberg, another person who should never, ever have been in the news. Whoopi and I are very happy to stay in the entertainment pages. I can't tell you. I had the advantage, I guess, or the whatever, when a serious candidate for the President of the United States did a tweet in which he made clear he hated me. I found out about that tweet with Opie, of Opie and Anthony. Mm-hmm. I think it was Opie and Jimmy then.
Right.
Opie reading it to me. Okay? I didn't see it. I didn't hear it. I wasn't told about it. I wasn't told about it I was never told about it before I heard it professionally. Mm-hmm. So it was a man in a microphone with a camera on me and my microphone telling me this is what the major candidate to run for President of the United States of America has said about you this morning, right now. And people have asked me how I reacted to that, and I go, you just go to YouTube and you can see it. You can see my face when I first get that information, It's like people ask me, what'd you think of Piff when you first saw him? I said, it's documented. My first meeting with you, not documented. My first meeting with you, not Piff, documented. And my reaction to the review in the New York Times, we don't have that. That wasn't electronically recorded. My reaction to, first meeting teller, not recorded. My reaction to hearing the candidate for the President of the United States talk about me in a negative way is recorded. And my reaction is very close to my dad's reaction to Watergate. Mm-hmm. It is such an out-of-body experience. And I watched Jimmy Fallon have the exact same experience. Jimmy Fallon was attacked by the president, which I have been too. He became president, still attacked me. Jimmy Fallon said, I was attacked by the President of the United States in a tweet, and I was thinking, what am I going to say back in the tweet? And I said, well, I don't really have time. And he said, at that moment, why does he?
Yeah.
And that was my reaction. Hillary Clinton, whatever bad you want to say about her, she never had time to think about Penn. I believe that's one quality you need to be President of the United States. I heard that Obama had watched a few episodes of Bullshit.
Yeah.
I heard that he'd heard of Penn and Teller and liked us. I heard about that through a mutual friend in spare time.
Yeah.
There's nothing on the record from Obama, Clinton, Bush, Ford, Reagan,
Presumably going all the way back to George Washington.
where they ever mentioned me. I think mentioning me publicly disqualifies you as President of the United States.
William Henry Harrison, in a short time, tweet stormed about Penn and Teller.
I would also say, if you are discussing someone hearing about my movie, The Aristocrats, that person cannot be considered a reasonable judge, and I mean that not in the job sense,
Yeah.
but reasonable judge of a Supreme Court justice, you must not be talking about the aristocrats when you're talking seriously about who's going to sit on the Supreme Court on either side.
Yeah.
Because what movie a clerk for justice has talked about cannot be germane to them being able to do this. It can't be. I just don't want to, because I don't care what you think of the aristocrats. I mean, I do care desperately. I want everybody to love it. But I don't care what you think of the aristocrats. What someone's reaction to the aristocrats is exactly what their reaction to Herbie the Love Bug means for how qualified they are for a job in the Supreme Court. And whether Kavanaugh saw emails that had jokes in them that were inappropriate cannot be part of the judgment for a Supreme Court until I learn the new tricks, until I learn what we're actually judging someone by. I believe all the stuff he's done in court before now is on the table.
Right.
I believe you can ask him carefully what he thinks of Roe v. Wade and what he thinks of any Supreme Court. I think you can do that.
You can. He doesn't answer those, but yeah.
No, I'm not talking about his answering.
Yeah.
I think you can ask,
Yeah.
and I think his answer can be complex.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. But you shut up in my movie. And what I mean is not leave me alone, but just let's put a wall between church and state, and let's also build a fucking wall between entertainment and politics. Build the wall. And you know something? The wall between entertainment and politics, I'll pay for. Don't go to Mexico. Don't go to the Senate. I'll pay for it because it's goddamn free. Okay? If the President of the United States mentions a magician, a juggler, a comedian, a singer, an actor, or a comedy writer, you can mention a writer. You want to mention John Locke? Be my guest. You want to mention Jefferson? Bless you.
Yeah.
You just can't do that anymore. Okay? Nothing with me or my movie, but 4 years from now, whatever it is going to be, 6 years from now, when the President of the United States is running, we need to say, if you mention a magician, you are disqualified. Obama, he's no longer president. Talk about Aretha Franklin. Sure.
Yeah.
All you want. But I don't ever want a president to talk about what they think about Lady Gaga.
Right.
Stop it. Even when Ice-T, moved on to the news pages with Cop Killer. No, you don't need to talk about that. President didn't talk about that. Other people can carry on. Let Rush Limbaugh blow stuff out his ass. Well, just in general.
Sure.
But I know you want to say that the culture is politics and the culture is also entertainment. And yes, it is. Yes, it is. You can talk a little bit about that, but please stop it.
There's numerous times where issues come up in pop culture that were considered very controversial that you're just kind of still were if the president speaks on it, that feels weird.
But didn't Bill Clinton talk about Sister Souljah? When there's something in his
Maybe.
campaign where he talked about that, he might have. There might have been entertainment people that he mentioned. I don't know if the president at the time, I don't know who that was, mentioned the Ice-T thing. We did the song Cop Killer. I don't know if they mentioned Eminem. I know that Hillary Clinton, before we give her too much credit, let's point out that her first presidential campaign ad mentioned stopping video games.
Yeah.
Cut it out, Clinton. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Don't stop it. Just stop it. Video games are not your area of providence. Stop it.
Tipper talked about entertainers plenty.
Yeah, Tipper Gore.
Tipper did. What position did Tipper have in the politics?
PMRC.
Oh yeah, she did, but that wasn't her as a political position, was it? I'm saying Tipper can talk about it. Al talked about it too, and that was wrong. One of the big mysteries in my life two of the huge mysteries of my life. Lou Reed playing Al Gore's inauguration as vice president. Lou. Street hassle, one of the first things with a warning sticker on it done by the government. Stop it.
Yeah.
And I was so flipped out when the Zappa children supported Al Gore after Frank's wonderful speech against the.
Yeah.
But I mean, there we go, the lesser of two evils. And I guess if I'm not gonna, and they were right to do that. But man, I guess I'm not even making a political point. I'm just saying it makes me sad because I think even after Nixon, even after my dad, I think I have a respect for the presidency that will not die. And I believe that after another few years, I believe it's probably another 6 years of Trump, maybe 12 because Ivanka goes in next, right?
Yeah.
Or Ivana, which is her name? Which is the daughter? Ivanka. She probably goes in next. You know, that's if we want to keep our nightmares going. I will probably be beaten into submission. I've always thought that the president was held in too high a regard, you know, and I've always said, don't take the president too seriously. It's just a job. I've always been saying that. Libertarian, too much power. I've always said that. We now know, as of now, I'm a liar, and I've always held the president of the United States in a great deal of regard that I tried to conceal. Because now that that's slipping away, my heart is fucking breaking. Because, you know, as much as I disagreed with Bush, and I disagree with him a lot, I felt that there was a good human being in there.
Yeah.
I really felt there was a good guy making bad choices.
Right.
Traumatized by 9/11, making bad choices. Dick Cheney making terrible, awful, unforgivable choices. But I think somewhere in there, someone who cared about humanity and cared about people. Obama, I disagree with tremendously, but there is no doubt about Obama's heart. And let me not even start with Jimmy Carter. Jesus Christ, Jimmy Carter. God damn, not a good president.
Right.
Great man.
Great human being.
Great human being.
Great human being. And now we have a piece of shit. And he does not care about human beings at all. And I tell you, I haven't had a lot of experience with him. Whatever I say, several hours I talked with him. I heard him talk. And I never saw one moment of empathy or humanity.
Or humor, from what we've heard.
Yeah, I never saw one moment where he laughed and it wasn't at someone's expense. And I don't mean someone's expense in general. I mean someone's expense specifically. You had something that's hurt you, I will laugh at you. The kind of laugh that all of us are going to feel a little twinge of guilt about. Doesn't mean we don't still laugh, but I wasn't quite right.
Right.
That's the only kind of humor I ever saw him enjoy. And I'm going to keep this once again in my little box, where I say, maybe he has close friends that he laughs with. We have no evidence of that, but maybe he does. I wasn't there. I was never there for a moment of who is now the President of the United States showing what I perceived, maybe it's a lack of my perception, kindness, compassion, empathy, humanity, or humor. Never said a funny thing that I heard that wasn't because it was inappropriate.
Right.
It's a different kind of funny. Never at that. So it's kind of crazy. And now I get this, and I try to spin it for pride. Oh, my movie, The Aristocrats, was enough a part of the culture that people talking about the Supreme Court are talking about it. I can't do it.
Right.
I don't. The pride is overwhelmed by the sadness. Such a creepy, weird fucking thing.
Yeah.
And Alex Kaczynski, I love you, and we'll miss you as Ninth Circuit so much. And I'll tell you, those people that worked for bringing him to bring him down, I hope so much that the next guy that's in there, the next person that's in there, I use guy for both genders, but I want to be a little more careful. The next person that's in there I hope they're a step up. I don't see how that's possible. Because to me, Alex Kaczynski, including the Supreme Court people, were the best we had.
Right.
Of all the judges that I knew about and read stuff about, he was our best. And maybe it's important to make an example of that. Maybe it is. Maybe 50 years from now, people will be looking back and going, wow,
What a brute.
It's really
Right,
good
yeah,
that we did the
yeah.
purge because we made major changes. We know during civil rights changes, there were things that were done that were not expedient that we now look back on and go, yeah, good that, there were a lot of people made really uncomfortable by busing. It's probably a good thing.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know all the nuances now, but a lot of people hated that. Might have been a good thing. So maybe that's what we're feeling now. Maybe we'll look back and go, man, it took us a long time to catch on and have our eyes open. Maybe these jokes will never be right again, and maybe we'll feel good about that. Maybe we'll look back in 20
We'll
years
be the
and go,
last ones to laugh at those jokes.
Maybe we're the last people to laugh at those jokes. And maybe that's okay.
Right.
Sarah Silverman has said some really smart stuff about this, really smart.
Yeah.
And Sarah Silverman is really smart. And I think that whenever Sarah Silverman's saying something and we disagree with her, it's important to remember that we got to listen
Right.
because she might be right. So that's what I have to say. Anything else on my list here we have important to say? I read the new Harari book,
Yeah.
21. Did you read it?
No, not yet.
Pretty great.
Just finished sapiens, so
Oh, you just finished
still
it?
catching up. Yeah.
How good.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Life changing.
Yep. Jonesy's reading 21 now, the Harari book, and he's blown away, destroyed. I just tell him, Jones, you haven't read *Sapiens* because 21 is good, but if you want to read some Harari, please.
All the
Start-
food stuff in Harari is in
Start with
Sapiens is
*Sapiens*.
unbelievable.
And I'm also telling you,
Unbelievable.
I'm warning you that when you start down the Harari road, you're going to end up with Peter Singer. You're going to end up wanting less suffering in the world, and you're going to end up with efficient altruism, and you're going to end up with ethical veganism. There's no way out. I was talking to Lawrence Krauss, and Lawrence said, I spent an hour and a half with Peter Singer, and I just don't want a steak.
Right.
I just want to give more money to help people who are poor. It's possible these guys are just right. They're just right. And all that stuff you feel weird about, Peter Singer saying, Rich Ross and I were talking about this. Peter Singer saying, $5,000 for mosquito netting will save the lives of 50 people. What are you doing? It's not the way he did it, but that's the way I would do it.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Right.
And I really rushed. I really rushed to buy the new iPhone XS Max. I said to my wife, we got to buy this right away because I'm changing really quickly.
Yeah. It's going to be the last new good phone you get in your life. So enjoy it.
Yeah. And maybe if I buy it in 2 weeks, I won't buy it, and I'll use that money the way I should use it. So let's buy it wicked fast. So that is the stage that I'm at now. We cannot.
Like trying to eat faster because I'm going to be full in a minute.
Well, it's also saying I think that eating meat may be wrong, so I better get a
I
steak
better get a chicken.
really fast.
Your quote on his from his book on panic was something I couldn't get out of my head for weeks. I quoted on my other podcast. He wrote, "Panic is a form of hubris. It comes from the smug feeling that one knows exactly where the world is heading, down. Bewilderment is more humble and therefore more clear-sighted. Do you feel like running down the street crying, 'The apocalypse is upon us'? Try telling yourself, 'No, it's not that. Truth is, I just don't understand what's going on in the world.'" It destroys me.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And that's like, I don't know if you hear it again or read it again, like it just keeps pushing dominoes. It just keeps pushing other dominoes.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, the guy is not, and Bill Gates tips this in the Times, so I guess I can tip it here. His punchline, 21 things to do for the 21st century. These are the 21 things I'm going to give you. Meditate, be kind.
Yeah.
Help other people. Try to stop suffering. Harari gets a lot done. A lot done. He is a professor at whatever the university is in Jerusalem, I think. He's a professor. He does public speaking. He tours the world. And he's written 3 really fabulous books. Sapiens, Homo Deus,
Fact
and
checking
21.
on Sapiens it would be the rest of your life just to even start.
Now let's add this in. He meditates 2 hours every day. 2 hours every day he sits and meditates, okay? And every year he does a 1 to 2 month silent meditation retreat. So he's got a 22-hour day and a 10-month year that he's doing all this stuff in. And it's possible that spending a little bit of time getting clear-headed and being in the here and now might actually help you a little bit. Or maybe he's just such a fucking genius. He's just tying one hand behind his back. That's the other possibility. I don't get anything out of the meditation. I just want to give you other guys a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just going to 2 hours. You do 2 hours a day. You got 2 hours a day more than me.
Yeah,
Done.
Head start. I'm spotting you 2 hours to change the world.
Spot you 2 hours, and then every year, in case you haven't caught up, I'll take 2 months. I'll just go away, doing nothing. So either way you look at that, Harari's a pretty okay guy. And you know, Bill Gates and Obama both said Sapiens was their favorite book.
Yeah.
Tells you a little bit. Have you read Sapiens yet?
No, I have it downloaded because I'm going away this weekend, so I have it downloaded to listen to for the flights and hanging out in the hotel.
You'll be screaming.
Yeah.
You'll be screaming. And you are screaming,
I'm
right?
still screaming, yeah. It's changed everything.
Yeah. Well, just stuff like we did not domesticate wheat.
The food stuff. The
Wheat
food stuff is unbelievable.
Wheat domesticated us.
Oh,
We are wheat slaves.
Wheat slaves. Yeah. It's pretty crazy stuff. And, you know, and
All the farming, yeah.
And Peter Singer is, I've downloaded a book by Peter Singer, so be careful.
okay.
Be careful. I'm going down that ethical hole, or I'm going up that ethical ladder, one or the other.
One or the other.
But
Either way, we'll hate you for it.
There's no way around there. It's also really funny because I think part of it, and I believe that there will be people who will roll their eyes so hard at this that they may give themselves permanent headaches. I believe that some of my being open to the compassion, the veganism, is the microbiome changing from my diet changing. Oh yeah, you want to roll your eyes back?
No. I don't know enough about it to roll my eyes back, but
I didn't roll my eyes, but I felt the rolling of others.
yeah,
I'm probably wrong on that.
right up your spine, right?
I want to show a great deal of
I don't
humility on
know.
that. We want to thank Missi Pyle.
Yeah.
We should have
gone.
remembered the name of her new movie on Netflix and the show she has on YouTube.
She's been on everything.
Impulse was the
Been
name
on
of the show on
every
Impulse.
YouTube.
Check out
show
Impulse.
Ever.
And
So say it like we didn't forget.
and check out Impulse. And what was the name of the movie?
I'm looking at it. Hold on.
On Netflix. Her movie on Netflix and Impulse on YouTube. And please, if there's any chance you want to see a really crazy movie, Missi Pyle, Adam Rifkin, fabulous director, Missi Pyle, fabulous actor, and I wrote the movie.
You're in that too.
I'm in it too. You see me as fat as I've ever been in my life. Well documented how fat I am. I'm knocking on 350 in this. It's on Amazon Prime now. It's called Director's Cut. And it'd be wonderful if you checked it out. It'd be wonderful if you rated it. It'd be wonderful, even more so if you rated it high. And some of you may truly enjoy it. And Portland, you know, what else do I want? Ron's a son of a bitch and someone kissed me. And I get to hang out with Lawrence Krauss. It's a beautiful world. And that was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha-cha-cha.
And to our listening ears,
You become naked.
angels sang and round us rang the music of the spheres. And
Now, does it seem possible that seeing the aristocrats at this point in history make you not eligible for the Supreme Court?
It's insane.
As cameraman, I'm out.
Yeah, you're a cameraman. You're out.
Don't tell Ron Jeremy.
Oh, he'd be heartbroken. Supreme Court Justice Jeremy.
that was Penn Sunday School.
He had the wrong branch of government. He definitely can be president.
But he was looking for room for his junk under the robes.
Yeah, exactly. Walk, Ride, Rodeo is the name of the movie.
Walk Right Rodeo.
Ride. Walk, Ride, Rodeo.
Walk Right. Is it Rock?
Ride.
Walk, period, ride, period, rodeo, period.
That's Missi Pyle's movie. See it. I'm probably going to.